Hello.
Hey
Welcome,
everyone.
everyone. We are so excited to welcome you to today's event, How to Get Hired by an Incredible Company in 2021. Woo! So psyched. And hopefully you guys are too. We have about 3,000 signups for this event today, which is crazy. So we are excited to jump right in today. We have a lot to cover and we are unveiling a very exciting project that we've been working on for the past few months. And it will be something that you'll be taking advantage of for the next few months as well. So we're very, very proud of that project and can't wait to share that with you. So so let's see who we have here. So you've got Jenna, Michael, Dorian, Cheryl, Rebecca. Wonderful. A lot of people still coming in. So as you're all getting settled, I guess we should introduce ourselves, JT, for those of you who don't know who we are.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'll let you lead.
All right. So my name is Ariella Coombs, and I'm a career coach here at Work It Daily. I've been here about 9 years now, and I started at Work It Daily actually as an intern doing social media marketing, content marketing, and just kind of that writing marketing aspect when I first started. And I quickly realized how much I was fascinated by career coaching and job search strategy and career planning. And through my interviews with experts like JT and other career experts that were writing for our site at the time, I said, I want to do more with this. I want to be a career coach, and I want to help other people know how to market themselves to incredible companies. So I went to JT and I said, can I do this? How do I make this happen? And she put me through a training that was pretty rigorous. And, I was able to work for the last, I don't know, what has it been, like 7 years now as a career coach here. And so combining that marketing background, that content marketing background with the career coaching has really helped me kind of see why and how you should be marketing yourself effectively as an incredible candidate to incredible companies. So I'm very thankful to have both sides of that and to be here today and work with you all. So I'll pass that to JT now.
Yeah. Hey everyone. So really quick before I tell my story, I want to say happy birthday, Michael Plummer. And hey, Suzanne and Angelo. I've been texting with them this morning I'm obsessed with the new texting, and I'll give you my cell phone number to text in a little bit here. But I just want to give a shout out to all the people that joined us through the various channels that we've been reaching out to on social media, on TikTok, on LinkedIn, texting. We're so excited to have you all here. As Ariella mentioned, over 3,000 people have officially signed up for this. And that doesn't include all of our Work It Daily members, which, by the way, big love to all of you. All of our existing members get to attend all of our events for free. So we're so glad to have you here. I'm expecting a lot of engagement and interaction out of all of you. This is the opportunity to understand how to become a truly incredible candidate so that you can attract those incredible companies. And know that so much work went into what you're going to see today. And I just want to give a big thank you to Ariella and the entire Work It Daily team. I mean, there is a powerhouse of teammates behind this today. A bunch of them are on the live session. This stuff doesn't come together easily, folks. And the ability to give it away for free is really powerful. And we couldn't do it if it wasn't all those amazing people. So thank you, team, as well. If you don't know me, I'm JT. I'm the founder of Work It Daily. I was in HR and recruiting. And 20 years ago this year, I walked away from corporate America and decided to become a career coach because I was tired of seeing people be misinformed and uneducated about what they needed to do to advance their careers. It's not rocket science or brain surgery. I tell you that every day if you follow me on social media, but it does require some upskilling, and it's not stuff that they teach us in school. Furthermore, I've been on a mission for 2 decades now to democratize career coaching. And what does that mean? Well, executives and pro athletes know to use coaches and they have the money. They can do it. But the career coaching industry as a whole has been very flawed. When I became a career coach, they advised me, well, just raise your rates and you only have to work with 10 people a month because only people that really spend a lot of money will do what you tell them to do and get results. I thought that was a bunch of baloney. And so for better or worse, I've been on a mission to build a business model that could help everybody get elite level career coaching at an affordable price wherever they are in the world. And so it just makes me so proud to have the Work It Daily platform where you can come and join us and get that help for the cost of a Netflix subscription, right? Or the cost of your gym membership. That's always been the way. And that's what we're about. And that's how we're able to do incredible trainings like this today. So my final thank you is to all of you, because as we come together as a community and we do this, we all get better as job seekers. We all get better as employees. We all own our businesses of one better. And this, my friends, is how we change the work environment. This is how we rise up and build better relationships with employers and get what we want and we deserve. We have to come together. We have to get the knowledge and we have to put it into action. So my one thing that I ask all of you today before I hand it back to Ariella is that you are going to commit to us at the end of this session, one thing you're going to put into practice based on what you learned today. Because if you all go, you heard thousands of people, if you all go out, start to put this into practice and share it with others, it's a trickle effect. This is how we change things and we can do it. This is a movement. Okay. So I'm just so proud and excited. Again, I think you can probably tell that. And with that, I'm going to pass it back to Ariella and we're going to get this party started.
Awesome. Thank you. And yes, so before we dive in, just a few reminders. So we have 2 sessions today. So we will have a quick break in between those sessions. So you can go grab a refill of coffee, water, whatever you need to do. Yes, I also have mine here, which I will be definitely chugging during our break. So definitely take advantage of that, but also make sure that you're taking notes. Close all the tabs. I just had to do this before we went live. I had 1,000 tabs open. Close them all so you can really focus in today. We do have a lot to cover, but we're also going to be showing you exactly how you can leverage Work It Daily and this new project so you can start finding these incredible companies and reaching out and ultimately earning offers from them. So definitely focus on this training, take notes, interact with the chat, ask questions. We've got our team of coaches in there answering questions as we go. And so definitely don't be afraid to ask questions, comment, share your experience within Work It Daily. And we just really look forward to hearing your stories and answering your questions today. So with that, let's dive in. So let me share my screen here. Get my slides up. All righty. So, I'm very excited for this, if you can't tell. But we have been working on this launch for a few months now. And this training today is essentially going to kick things off and give you some insights in terms of what you should be thinking about when you want to stand out as an incredible candidate to an incredible company in 2021. And again, I encourage you to stay to the end because we're going to be showing you a bunch of new features that Work It Daily offers now that you can take advantage of to find incredible companies, to make connections with them, and ultimately land offers. So definitely stay tuned there. But we wanted to launch this campaign because it was a year ago from, I think, to the day, JT, when we all left and, left the office and then ended up working from home. And so we wanted to do something special because it's been a year. It's been a pretty crazy year for everyone. And we recognize that. And we wanted to find a way to recognize incredible companies out there who have been fighting to survive and to also continue serving their employees and their clients and their customers. And so we wanted to find a way to connect incredible companies with incredible candidates like you and kind of bridge that gap. And so that's why we decided to launch this campaign specifically this month, because it's, a year of craziness and, economic crisis and a pandemic and all the things that we've been experiencing. And we want to shift that. We want to make things more positive moving into 2021. And we want to start thinking about, okay, there are some incredible companies out there and there are incredible candidates just like you. How do we find a way to connect them? And that's what we are doing this for. That's why we added all these great features. And that's why we want to help you land opportunities at those incredible companies. So with that, let's dive in. So there is always going to be opportunities despite what's happening in the world, right? Even though we're still experiencing a pandemic, there's still opportunity out there. You're just going to notice a big shift in the demand. And so there's going to be a shift in the workforce and where people are moving to. So back in, I think it was December, JT, we did a job search summit specifically for the hospitality and entertainment industries. And a lot of them are having to make those shifts. But thankfully, they have incredible transferable skill sets where they're going to thrive in different areas that are in more need. So, for example, if you think about all the remote tools that we've had to learn and use in the past year, Zoom, all those Slack, all those like virtual collaboration tools, they're thriving right now because, they're in demand. And so things like that you need to be thinking about, because it's not necessarily, a flat, everything's down. It's just moving, based on what's happening in the world. And so thinking about that and thinking about where that demand is and what skill sets you can be showcasing to employers and marketing to employers is going to be very helpful in terms of, branding yourself as an incredible candidate. And that's the first step here. Now, I'm going to pass this to JT because I know she loves talking about this, but the importance of networking, especially in times like this, is going to be huge. And if you want to land a job at an incredible company, you have to be focusing on this. So JT, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, I want to build on what you're talking about here. So folks, I'm going to put my business hat on and tell you, I'm an old soul. I've been at this for a very long time. And I've seen several recessions in the past, certainly not to the size that we've been through recently, but here are some things that we know that happen every time. The bigger the disruption, the bigger the innovation. So for example, in 2008, in the last recession, the amount of new companies, new businesses, new types of jobs that came out of that was epic. And that is going to be times 10 as a result of what's happened in the last year. So while I know it's been tough for all of us, I can't help but get excited about what's about to happen. And the visual I can give you is this, is right now we see this big barren, land of dirt. But what you don't know is underneath that dirt, there have been thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of seeds in the form of new business ideas, new companies, funding startups, new types of jobs that are needed. As companies have figured out how to pivot in this economy and what needs to change, opportunity comes out of that. Very soon, very soon, you're going to see that stuff sprout. And then it's going to explode. And so people are saying, why is the stock market doing well? And how is this all happening? Because all these people in business know what's about to happen. And they're trying to figure out, how am I going to get the talent I need when that time hits? And there are going to be all these new skill sets that I need. So this is going to be a very exciting time as we go forward. Now, what you don't realize right now in this moment, as we're waiting for that moment, there is hiring going on all over the place. You're just not seeing any of those job postings because the last thing companies want to do right now is post a job on a job board. Unless they're really desperate and they can't source on their own, and I'll talk about that in a minute, they're not going to post on a job board. Because if they're an incredible company, which is who we're talking about today, right? Companies that people really want to work for, they know that people that love them already follow them. And so they're not going to post it on an Indeed or a LinkedIn or a Monster or Glassdoor, because what's going to happen is they're going to get thousands of people applying, many of whom are not fit for the job and who really aren't loyal fans of their, what we call employer brand, okay? Because they're a brand. You're attracted to them. They're a brand. So they don't want to deal with that. They don't want to sit and go through 1,000 applications, because then they have to deal with the fact of trying to get in touch with everyone to reject them. Who wants to do that? There's not a single company out there. That's not an efficient use of the recruiter's time. So what happens instead, these incredible companies, the ones you want to work for, they put together a job description. They post it on their own company website on a careers page. And then they message their internal staff and say, do you know somebody? The reason being is that 80% of jobs at any given time are usually gotten via some form of referral. And recruiters prefer referral because that means somebody at the company who's already vetted and landed a job at the company is suggesting somebody else. So this is why when we talk about networking, you are able to tap into what's called the hidden job market. Now, a lot of you are going, well, wait, I don't have a big network. I don't know anybody. Well, we're going to talk about that today, because what we find is it doesn't have to be your best friend or your brother or whoever who recommends you. It's through studies on LinkedIn, by the way, so I'm not making this up. It is the weak ties that get you hired, meaning somebody who knows somebody gets your resume in front of somebody. And this is how you get by that ATS, that applicant tracking system. This is what we're going to talk about today. So please understand this. Dream companies are out there hiring right now. You just aren't seeing it in the places you've normally been looking for work. When you go on a job board, it is like going to a used car lot and being told you have to pick one of these cars off the lot. How excited do you get about that? None of them are right for you, and you're being forced to choose from what's there. That is the problem with job boards. When you learn what we're going to teach you today, how to go source incredible companies, you go job shopping. And I don't know about you, but I would much rather shop for a job than be forced to take what's available. Does that make sense to everybody? Give me a big yes in the chat if that makes sense to everybody. This is what we're talking about. Game-changing stuff here. Attracting incredible companies. Okay? All right. Did that make sense? Ariella?
Excellent. Yes, absolutely. We'll talk more about the job shopping in a minute, but it's so important to shift your perspective. That is the first step in getting hired by an incredible company, is changing your perspective here. Now, just to kind of build off of what JT was saying, there are opportunities out there. They're not necessarily posted, and that's fine, but you have to understand that the competition for those opportunities, whether they're posted or not, it's going to be tough, because there are a lot of incredible candidates out there just like you who are fighting for those jobs. So making sure that you have a strategy and a marketing strategy for yourself, so you can brand yourself as an incredible candidate better than all the other candidates out there, is going to really help you find and earn those opportunities, so they can see your potential and how you're going to add value and why you're aligned with certain organizations. So that networking strategy, first and foremost, is going to be critical in order to land jobs here. Okay, so you need to be able to show them that you are incredible. And again, that comes down to things like branding, comes down to those networking connections, those weak ties that JT was talking about. It comes down to that shift in perspective. And that, again, is the first and foremost, the thing that you need to be doing first. Because if you don't have the right mindset when it comes to job search, it's going to make it very hard for you to actually focus on the things you need to focus on and market yourself effectively as an incredible candidate. So with that, we'll jump into session 1, and we're going to talk about what else is holding you back in terms of landing a job at an incredible company. The first thing was that mindset shift. A lot of people really think about job search in a way that, it's just something I have to do. It's, I have to just choose, like JT was saying, from the used car lot and just, hope for the best. Or, I'm just going to get a job to have a job and I'll figure it out later. That's not empowering. It's not exciting. This should be exciting. This is a huge part of your life. So you should absolutely be choosy here and focus on shopping for new opportunities and being strategic about it. So that's the first thing that you want to be thinking about. But there are other things that you want to be considering here and start to change in your current strategy and your current approach, so you can ultimately, save time, save effort, frustration, and ultimately find these incredible opportunities. So JT, we'll dive in for the first one.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the first thing: not having a map. Again, if you're just sitting there and applying to what's online, studies show about 3% of the time you might get through that ATS system. That ATS system is designed to toss you out. It's not there to make your life easier. It's there to make the recruiter's life easier, because they can't go through thousands of applications. So if you're somebody who's been sitting there looking for jobs online, that's pretty much the most inefficient way you can look for work today. And also the most depressing, not going to lie. You're being rejected from companies you're not even that interested in. Think about that. It's just horrible. We got to stop the insanity. You start with a map. A map is getting where you want to go, point A to point B. Now, why does this feel daunting? Because nobody's ever showed you the map before. Nobody's ever said to you, hey, this is how you find those incredible companies. And this is how you decide if they're incredible or not. And this is how you reach out to those incredible companies and get the conversation started so they notice your resume and want to have a conversation with you. No one's taught you. Why? Well, that's a subject for another day. If you think about it, the less you know, the less control you have, right? But today we're talking about shopping for an incredible company. And to shop, you've got to know what store to go to, right? You've got to know the plan. So that is going to be something that we map out for you as part of the Incredible Companies class, which you'll learn more about later. But just know that, of course, you can't figure this out unless somebody's given you the step-by-step process to do that.
Excellent. And then the second thing that you might find yourself doing is just not, again, positioning yourself as an incredible candidate. You might think you are, but breaking it down, if you are sending out a generic resume, if your cover letter even starts with "to whom it may concern" and you're essentially using the same thing, or you pull the template offline, this is not helping you in terms of branding yourself as an incredible candidate. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile or it's not optimized properly, then you're not going to be found and recognized as an incredible candidate by recruiters. So that branding strategy is so important when it comes to positioning yourself and standing out against the sea of candidates. Remember, the field is still hard, right? In terms of, standing out and showing these companies that you are worth the investment. Mm-hmm. And so if you don't have a branding strategy in place, they're not going to be able to see how you add value, why you choose to add value in this particular area, which is important because that's, they want to see that intrinsic motivation. So you're continuing to deliver on a day-to-day basis. And they don't know why you're, focused on them as an incredible company. Why are you drawn to them specifically? So having this branding strategy is going to be essential in terms of standing out here. And if you don't have one, or you really aren't thinking about all the other pieces when it comes to branding yourself as a candidate, then you're holding yourself back. So it's important to focus on those things. And we will talk about that a little bit more in the next session.
Ariella, can I just tag on that? Because you said something so important there about differentiating yourself. Folks, the last thing, if an incredible company knows they're hot, right? Okay, they know they're awesome. They know they're fire. So if your whole message to them is, "You're awesome, I still want to work for you," and that's all, there's no depth there. That's you just trying to work for them because they're awesome. They're not going to go for you. If you can approach them and say, "I respect what you're doing for your customers. I completely get why you're in business. I love your services. I've used your products for a decade. Let me give you 2 or 3 reasons why what I think you're doing at that company is fire." Now we're talking. You have to prove that you get them and that you should be a member of their community. And as Ariella said, that it's called intrinsic motivation. It means, what is your internal motivation to do this work? Well, that comes from connection. The reason more than 70% of workers today are dissatisfied on the job is because they do not have a connection to the work, because they did not go through this process that we're teaching you today. You are going to self-select and match yourself to a company. And through that process of matching, you are going to feel so much more motivated to do the work because you felt control. But that starts with positioning yourself as a step above all these other people that are just saying, "Hey, you're awesome. I want to work for you." Does that make sense to everybody? I hope so, because that was really key what she said there.
All right. And JT, you touched on this a little bit earlier, spraying and praying. If you are doing this, then you are not doing yourself a service here, because if you're just trying to play the numbers game and applying to, I've heard 100 jobs a week on job boards, and you're just trying to get everything out the door as fast as possible so that you can hopefully get a call for an interview, it's really just going to waste your time and energy. It's going to make you more frustrated, because if you're not customizing your approach, if you're not focusing on, this is why this job is a good fit for me, this is why my skills translate, this is why we're in alignment for this opportunity, then employers aren't going to see it. They're going to feel like it's a half-baked approach to, trying to impress them, if that. And so you want to make sure that you're giving them the time of day, just like JT said, because there are so many other candidates out there who are putting in the time. They are putting in the work. They're not just saying, "Well, I want to work for you because you're Google. I want to work for you because of X, Y, and Z. And I'm going to take the time to actually convey that in my cover letter and, show you some respect and connect the dots for you in my resume to show you that I do, in fact, have the exact skills that you need." And,
I want to dive in here because I want to tell everybody what the average job seeker does. So they decide they want to look for a job. They spend 3 weeks wasting time researching how to do their resume on the internet, and finally hemming and hawing over their resume. They finally think it's done. Then they go sit on job boards and they try to find a job where they get excited. What did I just say? So there are not 100 of those, right? You're trying to get excited about a job in a company you think is worthy of you. You do research. You find maybe 3-4 job opportunities. You apply. You spend 45 minutes applying online with their online system, and then you don't hear anything. So now you sit around for another 3 weeks. So now and then you get rejected. The ATS tosses you, you never talk to someone. So now you're like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with my resume? You go back to the drawing board, you start to tweak the resume again. You do that whole thing one more time. Again, you don't get anywhere. So now we're 3.5 months in, maybe 4 months in, and you get to spray and pray mode. You're like, well, gee, I just want to talk to somebody at this point. I just want to feel like somebody wants me. So I'm going to drop my standards and I'm going to go apply to a whole bunch of jobs, especially the ones that I'm totally overqualified for. These companies would be lucky to have me. And I'm going to go apply to those. And I'm sure I'm going to get some calls. And then you don't, because you're not an exact match. Underqualified, overqualified, whatever. Now you're shaken. Now you're like, something's wrong with me. This is really bad. The companies I wasn't even that interested in, my fallbacks, are not responding to me. And this is when people slow down their job search altogether, because at that point you hit depression. Can you all see where that whole thing is flawed? And before the pandemic hit, job search in America took about 9 months. 9 months. And it's because this is what happened. People got so depressed. They'd stop job searching for a while, then they'd go back to it. And eventually, whatever they get, they took. And this is how we've created a system where people hate work. It's just messed up. Does that everyone see that? I cannot stress it enough, because we got to stop the insanity. So, all right, well, moving on. No more spraying and praying. We're all learned that today.
All right. So yes, no spraying and praying. We got to be more intentional, because it's your time, and you want to make sure that you're really impressing them, and also finding opportunities that are going to be a fit for you or that you're in alignment with. And part of that is not giving up when you get a rejection. So if you are applying for an organization you really feel like you're in alignment with, you'd feel proud to serve that organization, and you really see a future there, and you would enjoy going to work every single day. If you apply and then you get a note back saying, no thanks, not today, it's important to find ways to continue the conversation, because here's the thing. You made a connection. It didn't work out this time, but you still made a connection with that organization. So continuing that conversation after getting the no thanks, not today note is going to be very important, because you can't just give up. I mean, you need to think about, how can I continue this? How can I stay on the radar screen and find an opportunity that is truly in alignment with my skill sets and what they need from, me as a candidate, right? So don't give up after you get those rejection letters, because I know it's hard. I know it's so discouraging when you get those. And, whether you had an interview or not, it can be very, it can kind of stop you in your tracks and you feel stuck, especially if it's an opportunity that you were so excited about. So, don't let this discourage you, because there are still opportunities out there potentially at this organization. In fact, we have members inside Work Daily all the time come to us and say, we used your strategy and, they said, no, thank you. I kept that conversation going. And then, that the candidate that they chose might not have worked out and they brought that person in, or they found a better opportunity that was more in alignment with that particular person's skill sets, interests, passions, whatever it was. So just because it's a no thanks, not today, doesn't mean it's a no thanks, not ever. And, JT, you should talk about the green apple example, because I think it's so great in terms of what recruiters and the hiring teams are having to go through when they're hiring candidates and trying to figure out who's going to be the right one. It's hard. It's really hard for them to do that. So
yeah, let's unpack this, folks. Let's put you in the situation of the recruiters and the companies. First of all, if you're a hot, incredible company, lots of people are applying to your jobs that aren't a fit. So you're going to reject a lot of people. It's just how it is. Okay. Imagine an apple tree, thousands of apples on the tree. These are all people interested in the job. Everyone applies through the ATS. If you get put into the barrel, wow, you made it through the ATS, right? If you get put through a phone screen, wow, you made it to a plate. By the time you're done, that 1,000 is down to like 5 on a plate. And they're all beautiful and they're all green, but we have to pick one. We'd love to hire all 5, but we don't have a budget for all 5. We can hire one. So hiring is discrimination. And in that moment, we have to decide, oh, I'm a bit hungrier today. I'll take a bigger apple. Or, oh, I heard the green ones are tartar. I'm going to go there. Like it comes down to a final decision. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. And it's hard. It's hard for hiring managers and recruiters. So if you make it down the process, the last thing you should do is give up on that relationship because you've made it through. what you want to do is nurture it, because next time around, they might just pick you without even bothering to post a job. We see that happen all the time. They need to be efficient. Why would they waste time trying to go through the hiring process again when there's an apple in the wings ready to go, right? So think about that visual. But again, the other thing we want to talk about here is if you're an incredible company, you get hit up all the time for people that just want to work for you because they just want the benefits or how great the company is. They've got to weed out all those people that really want to work there for the right reasons. So that mass rejection, that's the first test, because out of that, hundreds will go, well, forget them. I didn't really want to work there anyways. Good. Get good riddance. You, however, if this is a company on your bucket list, and we'll talk about that soon, you're going to keep at it. You're going to meet people, you're going to network, you're going to build, and you're going to let them know, I've been pursuing you. I've been pursuing employment here. We want grit. Incredible companies want people who stick it out, right? Put your money where your mouth is, or it's you got to stick it out. And too many people are giving up too fast on incredible companies, all right? And that is true. Recruiters will tell you that. So really commit to the companies that you want to work for.
Absolutely. And that brings us to our final strategy piece that you might be missing. So when it comes to applying for jobs right now, a recent survey was released and said that 60% of unemployed Americans just gave up looking for work because they had little confidence in the job market. And like we talked about earlier, it's very easy to assume that everything is down and there's no opportunity. However, even in economic crises, even in a pandemic, there's still opportunity out there at incredible companies. Okay. So it's important to, continue your, trying to find these companies, right? You have to put in the legwork. If you want to find yourself representing a company that you find incredible, you need to put in the legwork. You need to go and find those jobs that aren't listed, the hidden job market, tap into that. You need to start branding yourself as an incredible candidate. You need to find ways to continue the search and just find ways to get out there and try. Because if you're not trying, if you're not bothering, you're going to actually end up being well behind all those other candidates who are starting now, who are continuing their search, even if they're not having the best of luck right now. Because like JT said, job search can take months. And so if you're starting months behind a lot of other people, it's going to be a lot harder for you to catch up and really show incredible companies that you are going to be an incredible fit for their organization. So if you're not trying right now, then we got to, jumpstart your job search. And we're going to do that today and hopefully throughout using the Work It Daily resources that we're offering.
Yeah. And I just want to say something, folks. There are millions of people out there that need jobs. There's not a million people on this session today. So you should reach around right now and pat yourself on the back because you invested time. It didn't cost anything, but you set time aside today to learn. And that is the secret here. You will figure this out if you work it daily, hence the name of our company. If you just put the energy in to learn and grow, you can do everything we're teaching today, everything we're talking about. Not a single person on here is not capable of doing it and getting hired by an incredible company. That is the coolest thing about this. But most people, they want the quick fix. They want the aspirin, not the vitamin, right? They're lazy and they're not on this call. So that's fine. We don't want them. We want you. We want the people that say, I can do this. I can figure this out. I can put a little time in. We're not talking 8 hours a day here, folks. We're talking about being really smart with your time, but a little bit every day, building up your knowledge, building up your skill set, building on your job search, and landing that dream job with an incredible company. It is within every single person's reach on this call today. And I would not be saying that if I didn't know it was true, because literally we've been at this a long time and we've helped thousands of people and they're always going, why didn't somebody teach me this? I didn't know it was this easy. All it takes is a little work. That's it. There's the magic right there. So congratulate yourself because you took the first step by coming here today. So I know that you're ready. This is a good thing.
Absolutely. And with that's our end of session 1. And we are so excited to take your questions. I saw a lot of them come in. So definitely, if you have a question about what we discussed, then absolutely throw it in the chat and we will answer it, or our team of coaches will answer it inside the chat. So let's get started here. Okay. So we have a question. You mentioned that before, you mentioned before about passing your cover letter to recruiters in HR at the company on LinkedIn. What if there is more than one HR person or recruiter? Do you send it to each or all, JT?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I wouldn't send it to everybody all at once. What I would do is try to do a little homework and match up the recruiter, hiring manager, HR person that you feel is closest to that job opportunity. A lot of times they're pretty transparent about that. They'll post it and tell you who it is. Then you can go find them on LinkedIn. You want to go for them first. You want to tell them, hey, and close this a story about why I am a huge fan of what you're all doing, right? Because it's about storytelling. That cover letter is about, really showing your connection story. Beyond, I think you're great. It's here's why I know you're great. Now, get that in their hands. Give it a few days. You can check and see if they've seen your profile. If you don't hear anything after 3 or 4 days, ping the next person so that you're kind of dripping it through, because you want to give somebody the chance to process it and take a look and contact you. But if it falls to the wayside 3 or 4 days, it's probably now in the bottom of their pile. Hit the next person. And there's an endless number of people that you can contact usually at a company. It doesn't have to be HR or the recruiter. Go find somebody that's in a job similar to the one that you want, right? Or go find somebody that is new to the company. You can go to LinkedIn and look at all the employees and see how long they've been working at the company, study profiles, and customize your outreach. There's a never-ending amount of people that you can reach out to say, hey, I feel really connected to your company. I want to share my story. I'd love to learn what you think it takes to earn a job interview with your company, right? That's what you're seeking there. You're not asking them to get you the job. You're asking for advice on how to stand out. And that's a very, very popular way to get your foot in the door.
Absolutely. All right, so we have another question. How helpful is JobScan really in getting through the ATS? Does a high score mean it's very likely that you'll get through? So I'm glad you asked this, because JobScan can give you a little bit of a false confidence in your materials, because they are scanning for things in the job description that include things like soft skills. You don't even really know what the ATS is looking for, because everyone is different and every job is different. So they're going to have different requirements, different questions, different keywords that they're looking for. So I would not rely heavily on JobScan, because even though it can help you figure out some keywords and skill sets that you might want to consider showcasing, you don't want to live and die by the JobScan score, because again, every ATS, every applicant tracking system that your resume is going through and your application is going through is going to be a little bit different. And every opportunity is going to look for different things. So JobScan has no way of knowing that. And so what you want to do instead is, do your own due diligence, look at the job description, make sure that you're understanding what skills are required, what are the qualifications that you need to meet, and try your best to optimize your materials so it speaks directly to that posting. But you also need to go and circumvent the application process and start talking with people, because that's what's going to help you get through. Even if you're 100% qualified for an opportunity, if there's something that goes wrong with the ATS system and how you apply, then you can get miscategorized and, people might not see you. So you need to take the extra step. JT, any other thoughts?
Yeah, I'm just going to add on to that. I've met the founder of JobScan. We've talked on the phone years ago when they were starting the business, and they're such nice people. So let me start with that. Secondly, I think this is one of those ideas that's good in theory, but not effective in practice. And let me explain why. When you go and mess around with your resume so it can just get through an ATS system, your goal is to have a human being actually look at it. You're just trying to get through a bot, all right? And when you get through that bot and a human being looks at it, recruiters know when it's been gamified. And they have a real issue with that. It really upsets them. So if they can figure out you've job scanned this thing just to get through, they're not going to take you. And in some cases, they're going to mark in the system, do not hire. And that's what's called blacklisting, which means I don't like that you tried to game the system. I'm not going to follow. Here's another technique you hear. There's people out on TikTok, drives me bananas. Take the job description, put all of it at the bottom of your resume in 0.3 type, and then make it white font so that they can't see it. That way, when it goes through the system, it's going to match. That was a technique that people messed around with years ago when ATS was first built. Recruiters know it now. They know if there's an extra space in the bottom or wherever that you've gamed the system, they can see it. Again, do not hire, blacklisted. So folks, I get really scared. This is what I mean about lazy hacks. And that's like a lazy hack technique, and it really can get you in trouble. And job search is about owning it and working smarter, not harder. It's like anything that we really want in our lives. We got to put in the energy and we got to learn what to do. But man, the results are incredible. And this is how we separate ourselves from the pack. So be really careful with that stuff. Okay.
Excellent. Yes, I totally agree. So JT, we have a question here about resume gaps caused by medical issues with lasting effects. Will that work against me and them not trusting my ability to fulfill the duties of the position? What do you think?
Yeah, so a couple of things. First of all, there is an understanding that if you're applying for a job, you can do it as described. So if you're going to need what's called an accommodation, that's what we call it. If you're going to need an accommodation, we need to know about that, because we've posted the job and legally can hire somebody who does not require an accommodation. If there is somebody we can hire that doesn't need it, then we can hire them. So you've got to be really transparent about that, folks. You can't sneak it in there and then say, oh, by the way, now that you've picked me for the job, I actually can't do it as described. I'm going to need an accommodation. That would be grounds for firing you because you lied in the interview process. What's concerning here, and I get it, for anybody that has a gap, whether it's medical or whatever reason, is that, again, these ATS systems, they don't help you. They're designed for the recruiters to screen you out because you have a gap in your resume. So applying online is not going to serve you in any way, shape, or form. Are we all starting to see a trend here? For the majority of us, applying online is of no use. If you have a gap, then what we have to do is give you a chance to impress them so much with who you are as a candidate that they look at the gap and go, okay, they have a gap, but gosh, they're really impressive. And that gets done through a disruptive cover letter. So the cover letter is you telling the story about why you understand and get the company and how deeply you feel connected to them. Again, folks, we cannot drive this point home enough. I am going to choose a candidate with less experience, but who deeply understands what we're doing for business, because I know they are going to be self-motivated to figure things out. If I hire somebody with a ton of experience, but they're not that into my company and they don't feel connected, the moment it gets tough, they're going to be like, So see what that internal motivation means a lot. So if you have a gap or you're not an exact fit for a job, but you love that incredible company, they need to know the story. And you get that story in their hands through the cover letter so that when they look at your LinkedIn profile or they look at their resume, they go, oh, that cover letter was so good. I can overlook the gap. Or that cover letter was so good. I got to get on the phone and find out what this gap is about. See what I'm saying? This is how you connect with those employers, and it happens every single day, but you got to put the effort in. Just applying online, not going to work for you.
Yep, absolutely. And actually, that's a great segue into this next question. What's your advice for networking with truly competitive and large organizations with thousands of employees? So when it comes to standing out, whether you feel like you're 100% qualified for the job or not, you definitely want to focus on your networking strategy. And we're going to get more into that in the next section. However, what you want to be thinking about here is just getting your foot in the door. So you don't necessarily have to just focus on connecting with recruiters. It's definitely a plus, a bonus if you can connect with people on the hiring team, but you can connect with anybody from the intern to the CEO and start a conversation, because you want to start somewhere. And so focusing your strategy on understanding what companies you want to be working for and targeting and putting on your shopping list, and then finding people on LinkedIn or on their careers page who you can reach out to and start a conversation just to learn more about the organization. It's going to help you get those conversations started, but also start putting your seeds in this company. So people are going to eventually know about you. They're going to introduce you to other people within the organization. And I know, JT, we have such a good example from one of our courses, Make Recruiters Come to You, that you share about someone who wanted to work for ESPN.
Yeah. So first of all, when I hear it's a big company with lots of employees, it's competitive, I'm like, ding, ding, ding. That's actually easier. It's the small, tiny companies with 7 employees that aren't on LinkedIn that are more challenging. Right. If a company has thousands of people, that's thousands of people that you potentially can connect with. There's never ending number of people that you can connect with. Now, why is connecting through LinkedIn important? Well, many of you don't know that recruiters pay top dollar for this thing called LinkedIn Recruiter. It's this special software on the back end of LinkedIn that helps them conduct searches for candidates based on skill sets. Remember, they don't want to post jobs publicly. So they want to go and find people that match the skill sets, and then they message them privately and say, we have an opportunity available we'd like to talk to you about. When you're an incredible candidate, when you can get found on sites like LinkedIn, incredible companies come to you. That's why we call the class Make Recruiters Come to You. When you do that, if you have spent time connecting with people at the company, even if you haven't spoken to them, but you learn how to customize, connect, and expand your connections at a company you really want to work for, myself, the recruiter, you come up on my profile in this special software and it goes, hey, Bill Jones is connected to 7 people at the company. Guess what? I'm going to click on Bill Jones. Bill Jones knows 7 people at the company. What did I say about referrals and connection? So learning this strategy of building a shopping list of incredible companies and just getting people to connect with you there is one of the powerful ways that you can stand out and get recruiters to contact you. Now, what you want to do is take it a step further. And here's the ESPN story. I was working with a young woman, senior year of college. She's a sociology, like anthropology major, but a female hockey player, rock star hockey player. And she realizes she wants to work for ESPN. ESPN wants business marketing, sports marketing. Think about it. Everyone wants to work for ESPN, goes to them with a sports marketing. She does not have that degree. So we start this process of her reaching out, connecting, and asking for informational interviews. And you don't have to be a student, folks. Everyone can ask for informational interviews. Informational interviews are, how did you get your job? What do you love about your job? What do you think it takes to earn a job there, right? You're not asking them to get you a job. You're asking to understand the culture, the environment, and who really succeeds there. People love to set informational interviews. And she did this, and she got one. And at the end of that, she would say, would you recommend one other person in the organization I could really learn from? And they would set up her next informational interview. And she did this and did this and did this. She got 5 informational interviews second semester, senior year. She applies. She doesn't get in. She goes home. She's home for 3 weeks. She gets a call out of the blue from a manager at ESPN. And the woman says, somebody just backed out of a very key entry-level position. I do not have time to do a search. I messaged all my managers and said, did you have any good candidates that you couldn't hire for the job? And 3 people sent me your name. Can we have a conversation? It was 3 of the 5 people she had done informational interviews with. 40 minutes on the phone, and she got the job. And she was down at ESPN 2 weeks later. So this is how it works, folks. You got to lay the groundwork with the connections and with the informational interviews when possible. And you might be thinking, oh, it sounds like so much work. Can't I just send my resume? You can, but I think we're teaching you here today. Think about how much more rewarding that is and how interesting it is and how fun it is to build that network. Now she gets to that company and she already knows 5 people there. Does that make sense to everybody? This is the future. This is how you just keep getting better and better. And then you work at one incredible company, you do it again, you work at the next incredible company. If you've ever looked at those people and said, how did they get that amazing job? They're not any better than you. They're not, folks. They just have figured out this system of networking and connecting. Those people that just seem to have jobs fall in their lap, don't fall in their lap. They just haven't told you what they've been doing to land these jobs. And it's not rocket science. This is what you do. And it's fun.
It is. It is. Even if you don't like networking, we actually found some really great ways to make it more enjoyable and a little bit more bite-sized. So that way it's not as intimidating and uncomfortable, because I know a lot of people, myself included, hated or hate networking. And that's because, the way that we traditionally were networking or thinking about networking, didn't exactly make it an enjoyable activity, right? It was always awkward and uncomfortable. But now with technology and new hacks that, you can use in your networking strategy, you can actually get more out of it and find it more enjoyable. And it's so important. So you got to be doing it.
Ariel is being really humble here, folks, by the way. She will be the first to tell you that she's an introvert by nature. What you're seeing here today is somebody who has literally built up her skills and is an incredible presenter because she knew what she wanted, right? And she built our networking class, and it is designed for introverts. It is designed for people who hate networking. Yeah. And it is unbelievable. And that's just one of the 15 classes inside of our video training classes inside the platform. But it's really exceptional. And she's, of course, being ridiculously humble right now.
Well, networking is important. It's one of those things, especially if you want to land a job at a really great company. So hopefully for those of you who have taken it, hopefully it's been helpful. Now, this kind of goes right into our next question here, JT. I'm a stay-at-home mom ready to get back into work, but I have little experience. How do I show them that I'm a great candidate for the job? And I would say networking and your cover letter have to be the two top things you want to be focusing on. What do you think?
Totally agree with you. So when you're a stay-at-home mom, studies show every year that you stay home, you lose earning potential. So if you stay home to your child or father, mother or father, whoever stays home, parent. So if you stay home until your child goes to first grade, you've essentially gone back to entry-level status. But a lot of us don't want to start at entry level, right? We have skills from before. We've learned a lot as parents, that sort of thing. So your point about networking is huge, because having a list of companies you want to reach out to, but more importantly, the story of why you want to work there. This goes for recent grads, people who have left the workforce, want to get back in. I need to hear the story about why you're so into who we are and what we do, because that's going to tell me that when things get tough on the job, you're going to figure it out. You're going to have what we call natural curiosity to figure it out and do well, because you feel connected to the company. And it's just so important we do that. I'm going to give you another recent example. Not a stay-at-home mom, but think about it. College student, no work experience, like one little internship, wants to get into recruiting. So senior year, he sees a job. It's asking for 5 years of experience, but it's where he wants to go, and it's a company on his list. So he follows the techniques we're talking about right now, the incredible company techniques. And he writes this letter about, I know I don't have 5 years of experience, but here's why I'm so passionate about what your company does in recruiting. So of course I give him an interview because they love it. He got the job. He beat people out with 5 years experience, and he got them to pay for his relocation. So this is what I mean about gaps, time off. The connection is, why am I interested in that company? Why do I feel an affinity to that brand? Why would I be loyal to it? Why would I go the extra mile? We as employers, we want that. Look, we're a career coaching company. I need people who nerd out on this stuff. I need people who believe in our mission. Because if they believe in our mission, I know they're going to be resourceful. They're going to come with new ideas. They're just going to be a better person. So I don't need you to have 20 years of experience. I need you to have that motivation. And if you can tell me that story, I'm going to want to talk to you, right? So here I'm a business owner sharing that with you. And I'm telling you, recruiters sit there all day and read. Well, they don't read them, because the moment they see "to whom it may concern, I'm writing about this job," they toss it. But when they see, I remember the first time I used your product. I remember when I stayed at home for 3 years and realized I couldn't wait to come back and work for a company like you. Here's why. Something that gets them at hello. Okay, you got me. I'm going to give you a little bit more airtime here. I'm going to see what you're talking about. You're throwing me some interest here. Get them at hello. Catch their attention. In a sea of boring candidates, you need to be original. And original doesn't mean crazy. It means tell me your connection story. Hopefully that helped.
Yes. And now we have a question actually about, what if you can't attach your cover letter to the online job application, JT? So actually, I think this happens a lot, where the online application process does not even ask for a cover letter, nor give you an option to attach something like another file. So in this case, you would want to find, again, another way to get in touch with an actual person at the organization. And so we actually have a great tool that we use here at Work It Daily. It's called hunter.io. Just type it in your browser, and it can help you find email addresses for people at the organization. So that way you can go and attach your cover letter and your resume and reach out to somebody who works at the organization as a way to share that story, that compelling story that will help them see why you're so excited about their organization.
Yeah, I'm with you. I have to say, again, I love it when they say you can't attach a cover letter. You've just gotten the green light to go find somebody and say, hey, can we connect? I wanted to share a story with you. They connect and you say, you know what? I just applied to your XYZ job, and I have a story about why I feel so deeply connected to your company, but it doesn't let me attach a cover letter. Just wanted to see if there was someone I could pass this story along to. That is a valid reason to connect with somebody, because you can't attach the cover letter. It's genius. Do you think anybody else is doing that? Heck no. No, they're not. But here you are, and they're going, wow, this person made the effort, and oh my gosh, this story is so interesting. Let me walk it down the hallway to the hiring manager. Here's something you should know. Most hiring managers don't have access to the ATS. The recruiters do. The recruiter's job, a recruiter is evaluated on how well they're doing their job, right? And they want to do their job well, on bringing exact matches to the hiring manager, because the hiring manager is too busy. That's not their job. So the recruiter sits and goes through 100, thousands of applicants. Most of them get screened out by the ATS. They look at maybe 50, maybe more likely 20. They pick 5 and they send 5 that are an exact match to the recruiter so that they can say, I did my job correctly. Meanwhile, there's amazing talent like you out there that are far more deeply connected to the company who have great stories to tell. So what happens is you go around the system, you get that story in the hands of the hiring manager, and the hiring manager's like, oh, this is a great story. Hey, recruiter, can you go pull this person from the application pile? Oh, what, they didn't make it through the ATS? That's okay, pull it, because they sent me a really good story and I want to see their resume. This happens all the time when you do it this way. It's just most people aren't.
Yep, absolutely. And I just wanted to address, I saw a question that just popped up. If you don't have the option to attach your cover letter and your resume on an online application, do not, unless they specifically ask you to, do not put your cover letter and your resume in the same document, because you're risking that second document, whatever's after, that whether your resume is first or your cover letter, whatever second is likely to get missed, or it can potentially mess up the ATS and how it reads it. So you just want to be aware of that. And unless it says to attach them both, I would not do that. And that goes for sending an email as well. If you have an email address to reach out to someone directly, don't put them in the same document, because for the same reasons, you don't want them to miss anything and just assume that, nope, it ends at the resume. So just a heads up there.
Yeah. I think people don't understand ATS is looking for data in a very specific format in a specific way. So I can't tell you how many people are tossed from ATS because they got fancy and they put color blocks and tables and all these weird things in there. That is not the way to stand out. ATS is boring. You need to have a boring resume that fits a very certain thing. Like, I can give you so many examples, like the dates of employment. If you put your dates of employment before the company name, it completely throws it off and you're tossed, right? So there's all these little things that people don't know about ATS. It's just ridiculous. Applying online, some ATS, if you don't answer a field, if you leave a field blank, you're tossed. But you can't tell that. This is what I mean about ATS being such a waste. I think Ariel and I are proving the point here with that you really want to work to get around these ATS systems when you can, or at least apply, and so that you can say that you applied, but then go work your back channels so that you can be pulled from the pile.
Absolutely. So important. All right. Last question for this section before our break. JT, with job search particularly, I need closure when applying. How can I provide that for myself when companies never respond back, even with an automated rejection letter? Any thoughts?
Yeah. So that's really tough because we have to get over the need for closure. I'm going to be brutally honest with you. Recruiters do not have time to go back and close the loop for every single person. And honestly, that no news is good news situation, when you get the definitive no, then that means it's definitely closed, even if it's automated. A lot of people have this theory, like, I'm putting time and energy into applying. They owe me the courtesy of letting me know. That is a false mindset, folks. And if you have that mindset, you're doing yourself a lot of harm. I'm going to be really honest with you. They are the customer. You are a business of one. You are a service provider trying to sell your services to a customer, to an employer. They get to choose who they want to hire. So when you take on this attitude of they should let me know, that is working against you. And I've seen people get blacklisted because they push so hard to get that closure, or they really push to demand feedback. You know, when you go out and buy something, maybe something expensive, you probably shop at a few different places. You probably shop and talk to a few different salespeople. You make your choice and you move on. If that salesperson was to call you up who didn't get your business and start harassing you about, well, why didn't you let me know you didn't go with me? And what could have I done to do better? You're never going to buy from them again. And this is the same thing. And people really struggle with this concept because they say, no, JT, it's a partnership. Well, it is a partnership, but you have to earn that partnership. Like it or not, that employer has the job and you want their business. So the sooner you start to adopt that mindset of I'm selling my business of one, and a lot of people hate to be in sales. This is why a lot of people don't go into sales, but you can't get around this. To feel better about this process, you do what we're teaching you. Stop spraying and praying. Put the time and energy in. Build the relationships first. Connect with people. It shouldn't surprise you that the strategy we're sharing right now you can get feedback because you've established connections and rapport with these incredible companies. So you just have to think about that and have that right mindset. We aren't entitled to closure. And I'm so glad you asked that, by the way. It was really brave of you to ask that question because a lot of people feel that way and they're not informed. And hopefully I'm really making that point. Let it go. Instead, think about the fact that I can't get closure about that, but there's 100 other people at that company I could build relationships with for the next time they open a job up. Stop being upset. Okay, you got rejected and you haven't heard back. Make more friends there. Find more people to connect with there. Get more informational interviews there. Eventually, another job will come available and you have all of that clout and credibility to leverage the next time around. That's really the key here, folks. This is how you get into those top companies. You don't give up so soon. You don't take it personally and you don't expect closure. And if you can do that, I am telling you, you will close the gap. You will make it happen. So thank you again for asking that.
Yes, wonderful question, because I'm sure a lot of people are asking the same questions and feeling the same way. So yes, great session. This is our first session. We're wrapping up. We're going to take a 15-minute break, and then we'll be right back here to help you learn more about how you can get noticed by these incredible companies. So see you then. All right, welcome back for our last session of the day. So we're going to be talking about how you can start getting noticed by incredible companies so you can ultimately earn incredible opportunities. So we spent the last section going over things that you need to be thinking about with your current strategy and how we can start reframing your mindset around job search. Now we're going to actually give you some actionable ideas and items that you can start incorporating into your job search so you can get noticed by these incredible employers. So we'll be doing that, and then we'll be taking questions, but be sure to stay to the end because we are not only unveiling some new offerings from Work It Daily around incredible companies, but we are also having a great discount on our memberships that you should definitely consider. So a special offer is coming as well. So with that said, I think we can dive right in, right, JT?
Yeah, while we're bringing up the slides, one thing I would love everybody to do right now is, what is the big aha moment you had from the last session? Did we do our job in getting you to start to reframe how you look at job search? Because if we're doing that correctly, your world's going to change. Even if you don't work with us, even if you go do your own thing after this, when you have new perspective, new doors open, new opportunities, you see things differently. So what was your big aha moment? If you had more than one, I'd like to see more than one, but tell us that. I want to see that in the comments, okay? Because this is what we're trying to make happen with these sessions, okay? Secondly, Ariel is not kidding. We're going to drop a mad discount for you, but it's only going to be good 24 hours. And that's intentional. And I know people go, that's not fair. It is fair. We are trying to build on your momentum today. If this is getting you revved up and you're going, I can do this, we don't want you to stop. So we're going to incentivize you to do that by giving you a discount because you've already invested and started to understand this. So we see that as a reward. So we'll talk more about that. So don't miss out on that because it is only good for 24 hours. Okay. All right. So let's start about session 2 because I love this session. And at the end, just for the record, we're going to answer every question. So if your question didn't get answered, we're not getting off this call until every question's answered. All right. So fear not. Okay. Let's do this.
Excellent. Yes. And I'm seeing a lot of great aha moments in the chat. So thank you all for sharing. Glad this has been helpful so far. So in this session, like I said, we're going to go over how you can start formulating a strategy so you can start getting noticed by these incredible companies. And we touched on these things a little bit earlier, but we're going to go into a little bit more depth here. So the first thing that you want to do is create that map for yourself, create that shopping list as a job shopper here. And that is what we call a company bucket list. So in order to be efficient with your job search efforts, you need to have a game plan for yourself. You need to have a list of companies or organizations to target. So that way you're spending your time and efforts in the right areas, on the right places, instead of wasting a lot of time and energy just applying to every opportunity that's out there, whether you want to or not whether you know like a lot about it or not. You want to start thinking about what organizations are you drawn to and why, and putting them in a list and start focusing on targeting those particular organizations. Again, it's just going to help you not only start shifting that mindset to kind of empower you in your job search, it's going to give you more confidence, it's going to make you feel like you're doing more for yourself because you are, right? You're being very intentional with your efforts and your time, and you're being respectful to yourself by choosing organizations and opportunities that are really in alignment with you, and you're spending that time, your valuable time, I should say, on those particular organizations. So creating this bucket list for yourself is going to be very important in your job search. So what do you look for? Well, how do you start developing this bucket list? So first off, think about companies that inspire you in some way, right? So whether it's a product you love or a service you've been using for years that you'll never give up. For me, that's Spotify. I love Spotify and I'll never give it up. So I'm interested in learning more about them as an organization. I want to know what's making them tick. They have a great service, so they must have a great team or culture or company or mission, whatever it is. Find organizations that spark some kind of interest or inspire you in some way, and then start doing some research on them to learn a little bit more. You want to get a little bit deeper without research. So that way you can really start developing these connection stories that will help you market yourself as an incredible candidate to these organizations. Because again, you can't just say, well, I want to work for you because you're Google. You have to say, this is why I want to work for you because these things resonate with me and here's why. So that's going to be the first step when it comes to creating this list of companies you should be targeting. Now, one thing we want to mention here is don't shy away from companies that are not hiring right now because, again, they might not be listing those opportunities online because if they're incredible companies, they're going to have a lot of candidates apply for those opportunities, which is overwhelming to their hiring teams. And they also want to start focusing on being more intentional with who they're choosing to hire. Or maybe they're restructuring right now and they're trying to figure out where they need to have people brought in to add value. So maybe they don't know yet. And if you can start working your way into these organizations and showing them that you not only are aligned with this organization, but you know exactly how you add value, and you can essentially connect the dots for them and say, you know, this is why I want to be here. This is why I'd be proud to represent you. And this is where I'd fit. And this happens all the time. You know, roles are created for people. So don't shy away from a company just because it's not hiring right now, because they could be hiring down the line or they could be hiring behind the scenes. So these are some things to consider here. And you want to make a list of, you know, we recommend 10 to 20 companies to get started. So that way you can continue your job search activities and really focus your efforts here. If you have too many companies, it can get overwhelming and you're not spending a lot of time on each company. And if you don't have a big list, then, you know, you're going to be really hyper focused on these organizations. And, you know, that's just not really going to help you move forward if you don't hear back from, you know, 3 or 4 companies. You have to kind of keep things in the water there, keep things going. So those are some things you should be considering when you're building your company bucket list, that shopping list that you are going to be using to be more intentional with your efforts and empower you in your job search.
I am just going to add on to that really quick, folks. When I became a career coach, I had to develop all my own tools for helping people assess and understand their strengths and then help them figure out what career direction they wanted to go in. And so this concept of the interview bucket list came out of my work in that area years ago. And I'm really proud. We're one of the few that teaches this, by the way, because again, most people aren't teaching you to shop, right? To literally choose who you want to work for. It just seems so foreign to people. So the pushback we usually get, and we have a whole class around this, is people say, I can't think of anything. I don't know how to identify a connection. I'm like, oh, that's a bunch of baloney. And I'll prove it to y'all right now. So really quick, everybody in the chat, put your favorite brand of peanut butter in. Right now. Put your favorite brand of peanut butter in right now. How many do you think we're all going to get the same brand of peanut butter? We're not. I guarantee you right now, we're going to get all different types of peanut butter brands. And then some people are going to say creamy and some people are going to say chunky. But you pick a brand that you like, and that's called brand loyalty. All of us have grown up having affinity for brands, right? I could say not peanut butter. I could say just, you know, Ariella mentioned Spotify. We have brand connection. The brand serves a need, and somehow along the line, we learned that that was important to us. This is brand connection. You absolutely can have brand connection to an employer, and you should. Because as we said earlier, employers don't want to hear that you heard they're a great place to work and they've got awesome benefits. They know that. That's why they're an incredible company. They did it on purpose. Incredible companies build great benefit plans and treat their employees well so that they can get what? Incredible candidates. See, it's a beautiful ecosystem. So that's why you've got to look beyond a company and say, what's my brand connection? This is what we're talking about here. And the other beautiful reason to do this, not only will it start to train you to look for who you want to work for, but if you put that list together of 10 to 20, like Ariella mentioned, you then can step back and look for patterns. So I've done this with people before and they go, oh, look at this. I love all companies that are environmentally friendly. I love companies that are all luxury brands. I love companies that all seem to work with, you know, help kids. You will start to see several patterns in the kinds of businesses that you look for. So people often say, well, if everybody did this bucket list thing, won't they all compete for the same jobs? Nope. Because no two people here on the call today have the same bucket list because you're all unique individuals. And this is why the techniques we're teaching you today, because I've had some snarky people say, well, once everybody learns these techniques, it'll all be the same. Nope. That is why this is so insanely powerful. because what we're giving you is a framework, but when you put your own special brand on it, when you're a unique person, no two people here are the same. And this is what makes you, dare I say it, incredible. You get it? It's so freaking cool, isn't it? It's so cool. I can't stand it. So really, this is a key thing that Ariella just suggested. The bucket list piece is a game changer for you mindset-wise and will help you. Now, that leads into don't tell them you're incredible, show them you're incredible. This is really huge because when you're trying to tell people how awesome you are, we've all dealt with the narcissist, right? When somebody's telling you how awesome they are, it's like, ugh, it's like that person that talks in the third person. Bad news. So it's really more important to show so that they can draw their own conclusion that you're incredible. That's the key. This is about showing emotional intelligence and what we also refer to as intellectual humility. You let the facts speak for themselves. So think about this. 87% of employers struggle to find candidates with the right skills. It's not that there aren't candidates with the right skills out there. It's that you were never taught how to present the right skills. Does that make sense? If you're not putting the right stuff on resume or LinkedIn, they're not finding you. So when you build a branding strategy that's customized materials to you, and you're showing off the relevant things, certifications, accomplishments. You've probably heard this before, quantifying your accomplishments. When you understand how to build those tools, you are now giving recruiters and hiring managers and HR what they need to screen you in instead of screening you out. And this is where I want you to think differently. There was a question earlier in there. I don't remember who said it, but they said, hey, I talked to a couple of recruiters who told me don't waste time on cover letters. They don't really read them. So this is where we're different than recruiters. And if there's any recruiters on here, they're probably going to get mad at me. Recruiters tell you they want things. Like they say, oh, we don't want a cover letter because we don't read them. No, they don't read boring cover letters. They say, we want a lot on the resume so that we can assess you. No, that just makes it easier for them to screen you out and never call you. What recruiters want is not necessarily what you should give them. And this is coming from me who was in the staffing industry, okay? Because if you give them exactly what they want, you've just made it so much easier for them to never talk to you. When you learn how to build a simplified, accomplishment-driven resume with quantifiable skill sets, transferable skill sets, when you learn to then take that and optimize it on a LinkedIn profile so that you show up in the search algorithm based on what recruiters look for, and you give them just what is required to get them to go, looks like they have all the experience I need, but I need more information. Ding, 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 ding. Because you got them to call you because they needed more information. Incredible candidates don't give it all away. They create what we call a marketing teaser copy. That is just enough information to get the recruiter or hiring manager going, oh, yeah, I think they're a fit, but I'm going to have to get them on the phone to make sure. This is how you beat out the competition. And this strategy gets used on you all the time. Think about companies that hold something hostage in order to have a conversation with you. Sometimes it's pricing, right? Or whatever. This is how it works. We use the same techniques as job seekers. That's how we get them to come to us. Is that making sense? It's so fun. And it's so true. So this is why that's so important that you learn to show, not tell, and pull them in with that marketing teaser copy.
Absolutely.
Sorry, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I would just say, think about it this way. Like, if you just walked up to a stranger that you really wanted to talk to, but you don't know, obviously, and you just started saying, wow, I'm amazing. I'm great. We should be friends. And without any context, without any demonstration of why you're a good person, like don't even introduce yourself properly, it's uncomfortable, it's awkward. And so that's kind of what you want to be thinking about in terms of how you're starting that conversation with the employer. Because if that's how you're coming off, then they're not going to be that interested. In fact, they're probably going to be like, wow, I'm going to go to the other person who's going to take the time to really introduce themselves and ask me questions and learn more about me, as opposed to just this person who walks up and says, I'm so great, right? So that's kind of the thought process that you need to have when you are starting these conversations, because it really is important. You got to show them why you're great. Don't just tell them, because they're not going to see it. otherwise.
And you just triggered something for me too, because you should know that a lot of resume writers hate us because we're disrupting the industry. Because I want you to think about this, folks. Resume writers charge a lot of money. So who's their client? It's you. It's not a recruiter. So what they do is they create this fancy resume to impress you and get you all excited about your candidacy. And they hype you up and they make you sound super important. And then what happens is you send your resume and you do exactly what Ariella just described. You look so over the top, so narcissistic, or even worse, desperate. When you're sitting there saying you can do everything under the sun, desperate. So these resume writers, I get so frustrated. I had a guy come to me recently, he spent $2,500 to have his resume and LinkedIn profile done. They're horrible. They were to make him feel good about himself, but they weren't getting him any action. And I hear this time and again from people. You need to know how to do your own materials. You are a unique person. Resume writing, LinkedIn profile writing, cover letter writing is not rocket science. You can do this with the right framework, and you need to know how to do it for your business of one. You do not outsource that function to somebody else, because then you don't know that they're doing it right, and two, don't really know why they're doing what they're doing. So this is a very important skill. We believe in teaching you to fish, and that's really key here because it makes a difference.
Absolutely. All right. So our third tip here is to get to know the incredible people who work at those companies. So we touched on this in the last session, the importance of networking, but it really is what's going to help you stand out and ultimately earn opportunities, because there are a lot of people who are going for those jobs. And so if you don't have people to help you out, vouch for you, be champions in your approach to this opportunity, then it's going to be very hard for you to stand out, because some of these companies get thousands of applicants. So you could be a perfect match, but they might not even see you because they have so many applications. They have so many candidates, all of which, not all of which, but there could be a lot of people who are very qualified for that job. So they could very well just stop and say, we've got enough candidates here. We'll interview them and we'll move on. So, it's very important that you have people, like JT said earlier, to say, hey, this person reached out to me. They seem like they're very interested in this organization based on our conversation. Did they apply? They said that they did. Can we pull that resume? That's going to help you stand out against the sea of applications and resumes. So having people in the organizations who can vouch for you, or at least help you get noticed in their hiring process, is going to be essential in terms of landing these opportunities.
Yeah. Let's hit on that weak connection thing. So LinkedIn did a study and found that the majority of people who get jobs get them through weak ties, meaning somebody in the organization refers somebody in that they didn't know that well, but they referred them in. Well, how does that happen? Two ways, folks. First of all, larger organizations oftentimes will compensate employees for referrals. They'll give them, I know one company right now in this pandemic is paying $3,000 if you refer somebody and they get hired. And you're like, how is that possible? Recruiting is expensive. Looking for the right talent takes time and hours and energy, right? And they're trying to be efficient. So if you can save them time and refer them and fast track a great candidate, they'll often pay. Now, most companies pay more like $500 or $1,000, but that's good money to an internal employee. Now, other companies don't offer it at all, but the employees still do it. You know why? Because it's about helping your peers. So I help a recruiter find somebody for the job. I've just now scored points with the recruiter. I'm making a connection. So of course, if we find somebody that we think might fit for a job and they reach out to us, right? They reach out to us, we have a quick conversation, I look at their profile, I've got nothing to lose to refer you. I can say to the recruiter, hey, this person messaged me and it seems like they might be a fit for your role. I don't really know them personally, but they seem like they might be a fit. That's still a referral. That's a weak tie referral. So I'm doing the company a favor. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, no big deal. This is how it works. And it's saving the company time and money to have those referrals. So you really need to get to know people at these companies. You got to get over it and you got to find your way to connect. And good news, Ariella literally wrote the video training class on how to do that. It's inside Work It Daily. So you'll learn more about that in a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. Can't wait to dive into that. But so in addition to that, some things that you should be considering with your networking strategy is to, again, focus on those companies that you listed out in your company bucket list. Try to find 3 to 5 people who work at those organizations and reach out to them on LinkedIn, via email, whatever outlet you have or channel you have, just start having those conversations. I'm partial to LinkedIn personally because it's easier to find people and connect with them in a, professional way. LinkedIn, people are there, they're there to network, they're there to brand themselves, they're there to support people. And so, you might not have people who are on LinkedIn 24/7, so you might not get all of your connections accepted, or your conversations might just slow down, but there's still people on there who are dedicated to, making sure that they're helping people out and making sure that they're on LinkedIn and doing their part in terms of their professional brand and networking. So definitely consider using LinkedIn to create these connections and work on those companies and get your foot in the door. Also, making sure that you give yourself the opportunity to uncover what the companies actually like to work with by having these conversations is going to be key, because you want to get the behind the scenes scoop, right? You might think this company is incredible because they might have an incredible branding team. They might have an incredible marketing team, and they're hyping up all these wonderful things. And they could be a great company, but there might be certain things that you might have questions on. So having conversations with people that understand what it's like to work there, why they were drawn to the organization, you might find something out that really inspires you or makes you question, whether or not this is a company you're truly aligned with. So having these conversations beforehand is going to help you determine, this is something I think I should continue to pursue, or this is giving me more fuel to have more conversations with people and ultimately, want to work there more. So it's important to have those conversations there. It's going to set you up for opportunities down the road as well, because again, you're building a network within the organization and people will get to know you. They'll remember you, especially if you post on LinkedIn. You're kind of doing that passive networking where, people will see you in the feed and say, oh, Joe, I remember Joe. Joe does this. And oh, wait, we're hiring for something like that right now. Maybe I should reach out to Joe. So that can help you set yourself up for opportunities down the road. So as you can see, networking does not have to be, the cold, uncomfortable, let's talk business. Can you pass along my resume? It really is more about understanding who to talk to and having a genuine interest in the organization and in the people. So that way you can ask strategic questions that, give you a more in-depth conversation and ultimately will make those connections stronger. And like GT said, you can get your foot in the door with weak ties, but you have to show interest in that person. Because if you just reach out and say, hey, I'm applying for a job, can you pass along my resume? It's like that other example. You can't just walk up to somebody and ask them for a favor or, tell them how great you are without even introducing yourself. You need to show a little interest in them so they want to help you out, because it is also their reputation on the line in some cases if they pass along somebody who's not a great fit. So it's important to show that interest there. JT, any other thoughts before we wrap up into the next section?
No, that's perfect. Love it.
Wonderful. So just to sum it up, networking and branding they're key in terms of standing out here. All right, so I'm very excited for this because I'm going to start showing you guys what our new offerings are that tie to this Incredible Companies campaign. We are launching this today, and we've got some exciting things that you can check out. A lot of them are free, okay? So you don't even have to be a Work Daily member to access them. But we want to help you find incredible companies, explore what's out there. So that way you can start empowering yourself and targeting organizations that you feel like you're aligned with or that inspire you or you feel like you'd be proud to work for. And so we're very excited about this.
Can I jump in here and just say something? I want you all to understand where this comes from. We've been at this a long time. We work with job seekers a long time. You've heard us say repeatedly here that we believe people should job shop. Do we all agree it would be way better to shop for an employer? Nobody's ever thought that's possible before. And candidly, you can't do that anywhere. You can't go to Glassdoor. You can't go to LinkedIn. You can't go to Indeed and say, hey, what are all the companies that are environmentally friendly? What are all the companies that are in healthcare? You can't figure that out. You can't shop yet. It has taken us a long time to figure this out and crack the code. But this amazing team said, we're on a mission because we're going to help the next generation of job seeker shop for incredible companies. the people that are incredible candidates and want up their game, they get this. Not everybody's going to get this. This is the beautiful part. So we keep saying, if this makes sense to you right now, then what you're about to see, you need to know, like, this is groundbreaking, which is so exciting what the team has done with this. And no, I can't even wrap my head around, like, I wish I had this 10 years ago. I wish I had this 20 years ago so that I could have found companies that I enjoyed working for and built a stronger, better career. Does that make sense to everybody? All right, because I just wanted to set the stage that this is really no small thing here. There's some amazing technology and strategy behind this that no other company is doing. And you're the first ones to see it. Literally, only the people on here. Nobody's known about it till today.
We've been very secretive.
Yep, flying under the radar with this one, but now the world knows.
Yes. So we are just so dedicated to connecting incredible candidates like you to incredible organizations. And this is going to be an ongoing project for us. We're going to continue to add organizations to these, items that I'm about to show you. You're going to have access to a lot of organizations you might not have thought about otherwise, or might not have even heard of. And we're going to be showcasing why they're so great, why they're incredible companies, and how you can ultimately start looking for similar companies if you're excited about these. So, all right, I'm so excited. I'm like shaking right now because I'm so pumped. Okay, so where do you find all of these great companies? So we've got a few options for you. And you should absolutely follow all of them, frankly, because there's going to be a lot of content out there. There's going to be a lot of companies that are being featured. So the first thing, if you are on TikTok, go follow the Work It Daily TikTok, because our girl Caitlin is showcasing incredible companies every single day with incredible opportunities. So she's telling you a little bit about the company, what kinds of opportunities are available, what they're hiring for, and why they are incredible in our eyes, right? So part of this project is to help you understand what an incredible company means to you. So we are looking at companies and we're saying, this is why they're awesome. But it's also to help you train yourself to say, this is what I'm looking for. These are the companies that resonate with me. So I need to determine what makes an incredible company to me. So just like the peanut butter example earlier, you're going to have a different brand of peanut butter than I am. So you need to start thinking about, where can I find these organizations? How can I explore organizations so I can ultimately figure out which companies I'm drawn to?
Can I just say something about this? This TikTok account is blowing up, and we have companies now coming to us wanting to be featured, and they obviously are getting vetted. But let me tell you why it's worth doing this. First of all, it's 60 seconds long, right? A minute of your day to hear about companies. What Ariella just said is key. You don't know what you want. You have an idea of what you don't want, but a lot of you don't know some things that you might want in a job. And we need to teach you how to figure that out. So you're going to follow these companies, and maybe not every company is for you, but I guarantee you every day, we're going to say something in that 60 seconds. You're going to go, gee, I never thought about that, but that's kind of an important thing to make sure the company has. This is how you educate yourself on what to look for, so that when you find it, you're in love. And when you're in love with a company and they feel that love, it becomes mutual and you start to build that amazing relationship. But how do you know if you don't know enough about who you are and what you want when you're shopping for an employer, right? You do it with this TikTok account. It's absolutely crazy awesome, and nobody's doing it. And it's free.
Yes, absolutely. And you can find our TikTok account online. I know that there are some people who are not, they're kind of hesitant to join TikTok. So we totally understand that. But you can, if you Google Work It Daily TikTok, you can actually view the videos on there as well if you're not comfortable being on there. But if you are on TikTok, absolutely follow. So that way you're going to see it in the feed. And it's just going to be a little reminder to work it daily and to start researching these organizations. So that's our first.
Don't worry if you're not a TikTok fan. We got stuff for you that's free too.
Absolutely. So that brings me to our next release. We're starting a podcast called Work It Daily's Incredible Companies. This is also free. You can find it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and more. And it's also on our website. So you can go through, we're actually talking about and featuring incredible companies that have been featured on our TikTok. We're just going in more depth and really having conversations about this is what we noticed when we were looking at this organization, when we were doing our research. Here are some things that you might want to speak to in your cover letter, or here are some questions you might want to ask during the interview based on this research. And it's going to enlighten you in terms of what are these companies, who are these companies, why are they so special and unique and incredible, but also what are some things that I should be focusing on as a candidate in terms of my specific approach for this organization, right? So it comes down to, dress code. What should I be wearing based on this research? Again, what kinds of questions should I be asking based on employee reviews or some of the basic research around the company? What does the company do? Why is it so powerful? What's the mission, values, beliefs? We go over all of that. And we're going to be pulling in people from these companies to do interviews with them, talk a little bit more about the behind the scenes at the organization. It's really fun. We released our first episode today, so go check it out. And we're very excited to launch this and help you train yourself, again, what to be thinking about when you're doing your research, what you should be specifically looking for, because if you don't know what you're looking for, you're not going to find it. Right? You're not going to know how to prepare for this specific organization.
Yeah. And I love this because I know that you're going to do a lot of maybe larger companies that are recognizable. But remember, folks, when you listen to these podcasts, once again, you're going to learn what you should be looking for in some of the lesser known companies, because there's some beautiful smaller companies out there that are truly incredible that don't get the same hype, and it's not fair. But if you understand what to look for, you're going to be able to apply what you learned in the podcast to your job search. So important that you be knowledgeable. And Ariella, you were crushing it. What did we say? You have to stand out when you apply. And we want to hear how you get us as a company, what it is about us. And the only way you're going to do that is through research. And what we're doing is serving the research up for you and saving you a heck of a lot of time.
Absolutely. Yes. And we are also, this is a very new feature on Amazon's Amazon Live. And it's essentially, I would like to say it's like a QVC for Amazon, but there are a lot of different creators on there who are doing some cool stuff and actually sharing some great education. So we are actually starting our own Amazon Live show, and we're going to be featuring some of our top incredible companies of the week on this show. And we will provide more information on this as we get it. Essentially, we have to share the link with everybody once we're live. So definitely follow us on social media, sign up for our emails, because that's how you're going to find out when we're going live and when we're showcasing these. So that's going to be important. It's going to give you like a glimpse of what companies are standing out to us that week, why we think they're incredible. So that way you can say, oh, well, that company sounds interesting. Maybe I'll go and check them out and learn more. But this is also going to be helpful for us, because if you see a company or hear about a company on this particular show and say, I want to learn more about that, can you put them on your podcast? We would be happy to do that. We would love to do more research and help you understand what you should be looking for this organization. So if you find one and you have recommendations in terms of which ones we should be putting on the podcast, let us know. But this is just another way for you to stay in the loop, working it daily and researching and exploring these organizations. And of course, we have blog posts on our website to showcase these companies as well. So as you can tell, we are going 360 here. We are really working at making sure that you have access to this list of incredible companies, this ongoing list, I should say, because we're going to continue to add companies. So that way you can continue to educate yourself, again, daily. So that way you can keep your list going, so you can figure out which companies are resonating with you and why. And we're going to, again, help you train yourself to look for certain things about organizations, so that way you can customize your approach. All right. So those are our free resources that we're offering. We're going to get into some other things here that we're offering as part of our membership, but you can also buy this one separately. So this is actually listed on Amazon. It's a whole ebook dedicated to how to get hired by an incredible company. It's based on our course that I'm going to share with you in a minute, but it has over 30 pages of valuable, actionable information that you can use as essentially your guidebook for your job search. So if you're not ready to join Work It Daily and be in a membership, we totally get that. So that's why we want to give you another option here. So this ebook on Amazon, I'm sure our team is going to drop in the link, is going to be essentially your guidebook in terms of how you can approach these companies, what your strategy should be like. We only, we're at the tip of the iceberg today in terms of that strategy. In this ebook, we talk about how you can land remote jobs at incredible companies, what you should specifically be doing in interviews. We also have templates that you can be using, because I know I had some questions in the chat around that. So this is going to be a very in-depth guidebook for you to help you craft that strategy if you're not ready for a membership.
Awesome. And I just want to stop there and say, folks, I think you're probably starting to see how this works. We want to be the place where you can shop for jobs more easily. That's our ultimate end game with Work It Daily. We believe that we know what you're looking for because we work with job seekers. I don't know if you know this, but LinkedIn doesn't work with job seekers. These other sites, they post jobs for you, but they're not really vested in you in terms of helping you figure out what's the right company for you. That has always fallen squarely on you, no matter where you go. Indeed, Glassdoor, LinkedIn, Monster, Career Builder, any of these places. We look at it completely differently. We work with the job seeker. We have a program where we help them. So we know what you want to look for in a job, and that's very different than other companies. So that is going to be free and available to you on our site. If you subscribe to our newsletter, if you subscribe to the channels through osmosis, which that simply means through you watching 2 or 3 minutes a day or reading 2 or 3 minutes a day, you are going to get a lot smarter about what you are looking for, which is different from you, and you. You're all different. This is something you have to do. It's why we're called Work It Daily. If you want to get hired by incredible companies and have an awesome career, you have to do your due diligence on what that looks like to you. And now we've made it easy for you to do. So hopefully that's inspired you to come follow us, join our newsletter, and check all these out. And then again, now we want to start to talk to you a little bit about, if you want to hyperspeed that, then you want to start to think about coaching. There is a saying that we don't rise to our level of expectation. Just because we want something doesn't mean we get it. So just because you want to work for an incredible company doesn't mean you get it. We fall to our level of training. So you're only going to get as far as what you know today. That is real truth. Think about anything we do in our lives. We can only get so far based on what we know. As we get more information and as we get better with our skills, more comes available to us. We get better. Anybody that's ever been an athlete, right, or competed, anything you've ever done in your life, the more skill and knowledge you have, the further you go. So if this is making sense to you, what we're going to start to show you now is how you quantum leap that. Because nobody's ever thought to have a career coach. A lot of people have thought, well, it means there's something wrong with me to get help in my career. That is a bunch of baloney. Executives and pro athletes have been getting help for years because they know it's a path to greatness. So I want you to think about this next section. And then, of course, we're going to answer all your questions. So don't leave. We're going to answer all your questions. But I want you to be thinking about that. You signed up today and already started that journey. My question to you is, whether you work with us at Work It Daily or not, how are you going to keep that journey going? Because it is the only way you get hired by an incredible company, is that you keep this knowledge journey and this upskilling journey going. Okay? So very important as we roll into this next piece, which I'm excited about.
Yes. And so this ebook is actually rolled up into our new course. So for those of you who are active members, you will also have access to that ebook as part of this new course that was just released this morning. So definitely check out the course library for this. It has over 35 lessons, templates, guides, and other resources that you can use for your job search. And it's essentially your checklist of actionable items that you need to be doing in your job search. Again, that ebook is included and it covers everything you need to know. And this is a brand new course. Literally, we published it this morning.
This morning.
Yes, right before we went live. The class is insane.
All my existing Work It Daily members, go check it out. It is insane. It is so good. The materials are so on fire, on point for right now, the second pandemic economic crisis, what we're dealing with. The workbook is gorgeous. You are going to feel so supported inside there. And a lot of you were asking in the chat, like, how can we connect with everybody? That's what we do in Work It Daily. When you join Work It Daily, not only do you get instant access to all of this, you set up your profile and you start connecting. And you're hanging out with people by industry. You're attending live events like this, connecting. You're building your network with a bunch of people who are all looking to level up. And folks, that's really important, because the reason people fail in job search a lot of times is isolation. You're all alone. You have nobody else to talk to. And then your friends and family are giving you horrible advice. They're completely ill-equipped. They don't know how it works. And you're failing. When you surround yourself with like-minded people, which you've all heard that, right? You're the product of the people you spend the most time with. When you get inside Work It Daily, it's not just about amazing courses and materials. It's about getting answers from trained expert coaches, being surrounded by like-minded people who got on this training today because they know they want to up their game, right? That is the difference. They call it the 3 C's: courses, coaching, community. And Harvard has done studies on this. People do not up their game unless they have all 3 components. You cannot do learning in a vacuum. You have to have these other components to help you get through the tough stuff, help you get through the days when you're having an off day. And I know my current members are going to talk about that right now. Tell them about what it's like to be able to go inside and talk through challenges and off days. That's the game changer. A safe, private place to do that. So this course is just the tip of the iceberg of what we do and how we hyperspeed people to land their jobs.
Absolutely. And it's very exciting because this is going to be your checklist, and it's something you can refer back to whenever you need to. You know, as long as you're an active member, you can go back. But you're also going to have that ebook, which is going to be your guide. It's essentially the written version of the course. So it's going to be helpful in both of those ways. And this course is available on all of our membership levels, by the way. So just so you know. Excellent. So just to wrap things up, 2020 was unprecedented. So let's make 2020 incredible. And the way that you can do that is by empowering yourself and going and finding great opportunities. You know, don't just sit back and wait for them to come to you. Go out there and take some action and find exactly what you're looking for. Figure out what your shopping list looks like and go out and buy those great opportunities, right? Because you are an incredible candidate and you deserve these opportunities. You just need to change your strategy and your mindset. So hopefully this was helpful, everyone. And we are ready to take your questions. But JT, anything else we want to mention about Work It Daily before we get into questions?
Yeah. So here's the thing, folks. I mentioned earlier, and I'll say it again. We are going to give you a chance to join us at a discount at our pro and ultimate levels. So the reason for that is that you've started your foundation today and you're building your momentum, but you're only going to have 24 hours to do that. And I know people go, oh, that's not fair. It's the only way we're going to get you to step up, invest in yourself, and take action. And as I said in the beginning, we're all about making career coaching, elite level career coaching, affordable. So if you haven't looked at our memberships, you should know we have 3 levels. We have a DIY membership. It's do it yourself. So there's no coaching involved, but you have the community. You can hang out with everybody, join the groups. You can go to every live event. You have every training, every material, including the new one. It's $9.99 a month, or you can buy it at a huge discount, 50% off at $59.99 for the year. So a lot of people do that. They're like, okay, got it. I'm going to sign up. I'm going to get instant access and I'm going to start working on this. What happens though, is that then they say, gee, I want to talk to a coach. I would like a coach to look at my resume. Did I do it right? Is it marketing teaser copy like JT said in the session? What about my LinkedIn profile? Are recruiters going to find it? You know, is this cover letter on point? Is it telling the right story? That's when you want a coach's time. In traditional career coaching, they charge you $300 to sit and meet with them one time. In our model, you join like a gym membership. So normally it's $49.99 a month, but you in the next 24 hours can join for $39.99 a month. And what that does is let you message the coaches your materials whenever you want. So there's private messaging. You send them as unlimited and they'll look at the resume and tell you what's right or wrong with it. Look at the LinkedIn profile. So all through private messaging, which means you have 24/7 access to the platform. You can message whenever you're working on it, right? You don't have to set a call. Whenever you're working on it, send it off, and you know that they will respond to you within 2 business days. It's usually 24 hours. It's not instant because we can't be on all hours of the night if you're up doing this at 2 a.m, right? But you now know a trained expert's going to respond to you. And then we have a third option for those people that are like, I am all in right now. I want to have an anchoring call every month. I want to work on my career every month with a coach. And then I want to message coaches whenever I need them, because I'm not just going to land a new job. I'm going to help them help me knock it out of the park in the first 90 days. I'm going to make sure that I'm on track for a promotion. I'm going to figure out how to make these different things happen. That's real elite level coaching. And we have a program for that. And it's normally $149 a month. But if you sign up in 24 hours, it's $129 a month. And you keep that price for as long as you're a member. So huge discounts on those if you're interested. But again, Not everybody's ready for that, which is why we have a DIY version that will let you get access to this class right away. But I need people to know that because it is only 24 hours. We're going to send you the recording. It's going to be good through tomorrow. And then the discounts aren't available anymore. That's just it. That's just the way it works. So if you're going to want to take advantage of that, please think about doing that in the next 24 hours because we don't want people upset. We already know people who watch the recording are going to be like, wait, what? But we have to do it that way because we need you to get in the game. And that's really key. So trust in yourself, get in the game, keep the momentum going. Come join us. We would love to have you. Okay. But with that being said, now we're going to take questions because we promised, and we're going to stay here until every question is answered. So let's do this.
All right, let's do it. Okay, so the first question I have here is I want to change my career, but I don't know what direction to go based on my experience. If you become a member, does Work It Daily help you navigate your best career path? So yes, we actually have 15 plus courses that you can use to help figure out what's the next job, what's the next thing that you should be focusing on, what's the career path that you should be doing and pursuing. So those courses will definitely help you, but you also can talk with coaches if you join at that level and bounce ideas and figure out what you can be doing differently or what you should be focusing on based on your interests, your skills, your strengths. But we also have some great free resources out there. So if you haven't already, take the Career Decoder quiz, and I'm sure our team will drop the link in the chat, but it's going to give you a sense of what your natural strengths are. So you can go and identify the right opportunities to, leverage those strengths. So that's going to be a huge resource for you. We also have something that it's actually not a Work It Daily resource, but we love it. It's called the Career Interests Game. And this is something that you can absolutely leverage to figure out what your strengths are, what your skills are, and your interests to determine what kinds of roles would be in alignment with those things. So, and I know JT, you've been using this for forever, and it's such a great resource, and our members absolutely love it. So that can help you figure out how to navigate, figure out which career is right for you next. But
if you're really serious about figuring out your next career direction, you do want to take our professional strengths class. So folks, I had to build my own materials as a career coach. So there are 7 proprietary tools inside the platform that help you figure out your learning preferences, your work style, your unique gifts, your passions and interests, your interaction style, your workplace persona. These are really foundational things that you need to understand about yourself. Then you're able to use a tool like the Career Interest Game, which we show you how to then leverage to figure out careers that would match you based on your interests. Because if you don't know why you're interested in things, if you don't understand who you are, it's very difficult to match yourself. And I did work like this in the private practice for years. So this class allows you to go through all of that. And then depending if you purchase a coaching level, you're able to actually submit your results to the coaches. They can look at all that and then start to tell you where you should start focusing your efforts. So choosing career path is no small feat. They do not teach it in school. And to best of my knowledge, there's nothing out there in the public universe that will help you understand it as thoroughly as what we've built.
Absolutely. Definitely. So our next question is, my trouble is finding those bucket list companies. Any suggestions? So yes, go and take advantage of all the resources we just mentioned on Work It Daily, the TikTok channel, the podcast. We have an Incredible Companies page where you can find all the blog posts and features of organizations based on the industries and categories they're in. So our team will drop those links in the chat for you. But also take advantage of sites like Glassdoor and Comparably. This is a newer site, but it's great. They have some wonderful information on organizations. But even going to job boards like Indeed and just looking at what companies are listed and using that as a tool to explore what's out there can help you start figuring out, okay, so these are companies I've never heard about, but I want to learn more about them. Something sparks, interest. So take some time to just go out there and explore, use these resources, go to these websites and just figure out which companies you're drawn to. And even if it's just, I want to learn a little bit more about that organization, write it down and come back to it later, because this is the beginning process of building your bucket list, but you have to, go a few different places to figure out what kinds of companies are out there to begin with.
Yeah. When somebody says to you like blue car, if I say it all you today, blue car, blue car, blue car. Now, when you go out driving, you're going to notice the blue cars, right? Well, the same mental technique happens when you start doing job shopping and research, like Ariella said, which is all structured in the ebook, by the way. But you start to look and very quickly you start to notice more companies. You've just not been noticing companies because nobody told you to. When we teach you how to do that, you will start to notice and pull companies in. And then using sites like ours, like we really should bring it up. The Incredible Companies page on Work It Daily is awesome. You literally can, it literally, you click a button and it brings up the companies that have, that, match that certain type of style. It's all being built out more and more every day. So you definitely should bookmark that too.
Absolutely. Yes. So another question, JT. How should we approach networking in a world where there's no let's grab coffee or lunch meetings and people are more disconnected now than ever? People are working and they're burned out as well. So how do you approach that in terms of networking, JT?
So I've actually found it easier. I think people didn't want to take time to go have coffee, drive there, park, find a spot, hang out. I have found it much easier to network. Couple of key things. I love messaging people and saying, hey, let's get on a phone call. We do not need to be on Zoom. Cameras do not need to be on, right? Because now they don't have to worry about being on camera, having everything all set up. Let's just have a phone call. I'd love to talk 15 minutes about what you're working on in your job. How did you end up with that certification? What's your big focus for the next couple of years? Like there's just so many reasons to be able to connect with people, and the camera does not have to be on, right? It doesn't. If they want to, that's fine. The other big thing I've seen people start to do is put together little group chats. So they go out and they find 5 people in a certain industry and message them all and say, hey, I wanted to put together a really quick, 15-minute chat. All 5 of you have this same background. I thought it'd be really good for us to connect and talk with one another about it. Would you be interested? You'd be shocked how many people say yes, because everyone needs to be networking right now. Everyone. So now you're telling me I can get on a quick call and meet 3 or 4 other people really fast. Why wouldn't I do that? It doesn't work every time, but that's the other thing you'll learn if you take our networking class. The more strategic you are and the more consistent you are, the more results you'll get. And then once you network with somebody, it becomes so easy, because then you say to them, hey, who's one person in our space you think I could really benefit from talking to, similar to we've talked to today, or you think is doing something really cool in the industry or has really great skill sets, right? And then they refer you to your next person. And so when you reach out to that person and say, hey, I had this great conversation with Ariella, she mentioned your name. Oh, I like Ariella. Okay, I'll take this call, right? So there's a whole strategy there to make it easier and more natural for you to connect with people.
Absolutely. And honestly, like you said, JT, I think it's easier now than ever. And people they want to connect right now. We're kind of starved of having those daily connections. So this is like a great time to start networking, I think. All right. So we had a question about applying to jobs, multiple jobs at the same company, and what you should be doing there. Is it appropriate? Is it not? What should you be thinking about? So when it comes to applying to multiple jobs at an organization, it can go 2 ways. There are companies who love seeing that, and there are companies who really frown upon it because it can show some, lack of focus. You don't know exactly where you add value, while other companies are, excited to see that enthusiasm. So our rule of thumb is to contact the organization and ask what, their thoughts are on this. When candidates apply for multiple jobs, do they welcome it? Or do they frown upon it? Because you don't want to, do yourself a disservice by applying to a bunch of different jobs at an organization when they really want to see you just focusing on one job at the same time. So that's what we would recommend there. So that way you're putting yourself in a good position. All right. So question, JT, is it inappropriate to add someone on LinkedIn after an interview during the wait period, or even to add a somewhat distant connection on their team?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I did a TikTok on this recently. Once you're in the interview cycle, it is not considered appropriate to ask for connections. You are in cycle. Now, had you asked for the connections before the interview, that would have been a different story. But the moment you've interviewed with somebody, it puts them in an awkward position to accept that connection request and feel like maybe you're going to try to reach out to them. So you need to sit tight till the interview cycle's over. When the interview cycle's over and one way or another, whether you're moving forward or not, it makes sense to connect and say, hey, I want to stay in touch. So yeah, it's a tricky situation, but you definitely want to stay clear of that till it's done.
Absolutely. All right. How many times should you follow up to connect? What should the subsequent messages be? So if you're sending a connection request to someone on LinkedIn, you essentially have to wait for them to respond. And again, keep in mind that not everyone's on LinkedIn all the time, and they might not see it, or they might have a lot of people in their queue to be accepted. And so it might just fall, down the line, I guess. So, don't get discouraged if someone doesn't accept your request right away or ever, because they could just have their own thing going on. But that's why it's important to connect with a few different people within an organization. So that way, if that person doesn't connect, then you can at least try to connect with somebody else and have a conversation there. So, this is tough because if you really want to talk to somebody and you can't get your connection request accepted, you just kind of have to move on unless you can find an email address using hunter.io or one of those tools to reach out to them via email. But that's essentially what you need to do, is figure out who else you can, connect with at that organization. All right, JT, where is the line when I should stop revealing myself in my resume in LinkedIn in order for a recruiter to call me?
Reveal? I'm not sure what they mean by reveal.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand that question. So first of all, your LinkedIn profile should be public at all times, because you will not be found if your LinkedIn profile isn't public. I would not put your resume on your LinkedIn profile. Some people ask about that. You don't need to, and it's really not the thing to do. You keep your resume for when people ask for it, or for, when you're reaching out and connecting specifically. The way to be found by recruiters is to, one, have your LinkedIn profile properly optimized based on keywords. LinkedIn works like a search algorithm, just like an internet search, right? There's billions of pieces of data out there. So when you search for keywords, they have an algorithm to figure out what they think you were looking for, and then they give you the most relevant content. Well, there's over 730 million profiles now on LinkedIn. Same problem. So they have to look at location and skill sets and what the recruiter's searching for in order for you to come up. Now, most people on LinkedIn don't understand this, and therefore do not have their profiles optimized. And it's one of the techniques that we love to teach at Work It Daily, because as soon as people optimize their profile, they start to see more views, more activity. So that should be done. And then your resume is given when asked. Otherwise, you don't want to just be pushing it out there for anyone. So hopefully that answered the question.
Excellent. All right, JT, this question's for you because I know you're on Clubhouse these days. Can you use Clubhouse as an opportunity to network or create opportunities to find companies from the bucket list?
Yeah, oh gosh, I really hope it gets there. I'm going to be honest with you. So Clubhouse is in its infancy. I think a lot of people are networking on it. What I'm challenged with right now, this phase of Clubhouse, is they started it as a velvet rope opportunity, meaning it was invitation only. So a lot of people who are entrepreneurs, social media experts, people that are really nerd out on that stuff, jumped on it first. And that's a certain type of person. That's not the majority of the people out there in the workforce. As a result, you got a lot of these life coaches and 10X your business entrepreneurs and all that kind of stuff happening in Clubhouse right now. Also, they built it out on the West Coast. So there's a lot of artists, musicians, things like that. So it's starting to populate with different things. The question that's being asked here, and where do I think it's going? Most definitely. I think eventually on Clubhouse, you will have employers who will host events where they can just talk and answer questions about the company and share. And I also think you're going to have a lot more people who are just professionally minded. Like I could see a Clubhouse for mechanical engineers who want to talk about this, or for, healthcare specialists that want to talk about this. I think eventually those will become like little virtual talk shows where you can meet people. And it's really fabulous because you don't need to be on camera. So for those of you who don't understand, it's audio only. So, but you can see people's profile, like, and connect with them. So I think Clubhouse is going to become very, very big and powerful in helping us, but not for months. It probably not until the end of this year before it's anything that I'm telling you all you must do and go do, and here's how you figure it out. But if you want to learn and understand it, get on it now. And I think you will meet people and connect. I just don't think it's for everybody from networking. Right now, networking is going to be a lot more powerful on something like Work It Daily, where everybody inside our platform is actively trying to up their game. So you can take those connections offline. And then, of course, trying on LinkedIn, where the connection rate is going to be a lot lower because not everyone's going to connect with you. But again, there's so many people, you can play the numbers and start to build your network that way.
Excellent. Yes. I know Clubhouse is intriguing. And it's great that you're thinking about creative ways to network as well, because that's key. That's disruption. You got to think about that.
Absolutely. It's what you got to do.
Yep. All right. So I know we have a couple questions about the Work It Daily membership, but before I get to those, I wanted to address this one. And I'm so glad this one was asked. I have a history of having the deer in the headlights effect when interviewing. how can I overcome this? I had a recent first interview for a great role and I wasn't called back. So first off, you are not alone. And second off, interviewing is not a normal thing to be doing, right? You're not practicing this so much that it's second nature. It's comfortable, right? It's completely uncomfortable. It's awkward if you don't continue to build the muscles. So what you need to do in order to avoid this deer in the headlights effect is to get comfortable, is to practice. So something that we really drive home to our Work It Daily family is to say, get in front of your webcam and practice recording yourself answering questions until you get so comfortable answering them and you can see yourself being very comfortable on camera that it's just going to be second nature to you. The other thing is practice with another person, whether it's in person or via Zoom or something else, another virtual video interview type of thing, because you want to put yourself in situations that you're potentially going to be in during these interviews so you can start building that muscle and practicing, because when you're comfortable, you're more confident and you're not going to be thinking about all the things that could go wrong. You're just going to be so excited to be there and talk about this company and ask questions and have a conversation that you're not going to be thinking about that. It's not going to feel as much like an interrogation. It's going to feel more like a conversation. So make sure that you're getting out there practicing, even again, if it's just you answering questions on your webcam. That practice is really going to go a long way with your confidence so you feel better about it. JT, any other thoughts?
Yeah, of course. So we have a video training class, it's interview prep, and time and again, people tell us it's like stealing the opponent's playbook. And what they mean by that is that they go in and they literally are anticipating what's going to happen in the interview. Now, how did we get there? Well, true story. That class was built after I had to work with a young man who graduated from college with 2 degrees in engineering and could not get a job because he was so scared in the interviews. He was sweating through everything and literally scaring the interviewers away. So we talked about it. He said, I'm just so afraid of saying the wrong thing. So can everybody relate to that? That's our biggest fear in interview, that we're going to say the wrong thing and it's going to cost us the job. So how do you fix that? As Ariella said, it is practice, but you need to even know what to say and how to say it. So interview prep and learning what to say, learning how to put together answers. We have something called the experience plus learn equals grow equation, and we walk people through how to create an answer using that framework. Makes you more consistent. Because what happens is if you don't do some prep on this and get comfortable, your answers can be too little. Your answers can be all over the place and you look distracted, right? And you can really come off wrong. But you can minimize so much of this and increase your confidence if you understand structurally what is expected of you in the interview and how the interview process is going to go, right? Again, what have we been saying all day today? Once you understand this stuff, your confidence level goes up, your fear goes down. So whether you're with us or someplace else, that deer in the headlights effect goes away when you get that advice. And what I did with this young man is he had to go through the training. And then as Ariella said, I made him practice his answers till he was sick of hearing his own voice. I said, you need to be so sick of saying this stuff that you can't wait to go on an interview. And what happens is you get in the interview and you're just like, all right, I want to talk about this. And it comes through in your confidence. He ended up with competing job offers when he was done. So if you take somebody that scared, I'm telling you, it is really just about you understanding what's about to happen and feeling a sense of control over whether or not I'm structuring my answers correctly. Okay. All right. Great question, by the way.
Yes. Excellent question. Love it. All right. So a few questions that I'm going to wrap together about the membership. So first off, if you become a member, do you personally connect with JT or do you get assigned another career coach? So actually, if you sign up for Work It Daily, you get access to a whole team of career coaches. So you're not going to be assigned one coach. You're going to get access to our whole team of coaches. And JT is actually in coach for our executive level clients, but you'll have access to our professional level coaches. They're all trained by JT. They're all amazing. They're in the chat right now answering your questions. And so you will be in good hands there, but you will have a team of people. So that way you're always going to get your question answered in a timely manner and you're not waiting, a long time to get that.
That's my point on that, folks. I remember I did private career coaching. What we have is a suite of people who all have specialties. They all come from either training, HR, recruiting background, staffing background, and they've all been trained so that they can respond so you get the answer when you need the answer. You don't want to be waiting for one person. And candidly, you want these different people because sometimes they go in and they see the question and it's all private in the system, but they're like, oh, you know what, Ariella, you need to answer that one.
Yeah.
Or Danny, you should answer that one. Or Christina, you should answer that. Or Lucas, right? I mean, this team is amazing. And you want that dream team supporting you, just so you know. And then also, I do office hours every week inside the program. Every Tuesday at noon, I am live taking people's questions as well. And that's just one of many of the live events we have. So you get access to us in other ways, but you want that suite of coaches answering you in a timely fashion.
Absolutely. It's so key. We got to work it daily, remember?
You do. You do.
Absolutely. Okay, so if you join today, will it be $59.99 for as long as you're a member? Yes. So if you sign up at a certain rate, you're going to stick to that rate until you decide to leave and come back, right?
Yeah, by the way, the $59.99 is one whole year in the DIY.
Mhm.
So all our live events, all of our training done. I mean, that's crazy. And that as long as you stay subscribed once a year, that's what it'll charge you. It's incredible. Same with the discounts, $39.99 a month. As long as you're a member, you get to keep that. $129.99 a month. As long as you're a member, you get to keep that, which is amazing, right? That's why we want you to join, so that you can start to budget for your career growth. Folks, you can work in your job, but it is more important to work on your career. You need to have a strategy for what you want to make happen. And people just waste time and years pass and they just put their head down and try to figure out a job and they don't really have a strategy. That's what we help you do. That's why you want to become a member, because once you get the job, we want to show you how to crush it in the first 90 days. We want to show you how to get promoted. We want to show you how to take this and leverage it and go get a better job. That we're your side. We're not the employer side. We're your side. And so that's what our members figure out. They get in there and they go, oh my gosh, this isn't a one and done thing. This is something I want the rest of my life. And ask yourself, is making 20% more worth it to you? Is figuring out how to get promotions and having top employers coming to you over the next decade is that important to you? If it is, then you have to be thinking about having these kinds of resources to support you.
Absolutely. And that leads me to our last question about the membership here. Do you provide members with template emails for reaching out and networking? And the answer is absolutely yes. We have so many templates inside our courses, including the one that we just launched, How to Get Hired by an Incredible Company. We really want to help you understand what you should be saying in your connection requests, what you should be saying in the first message, so that way you're starting on the right foot. How you should be following up and thanking employers after interviews. We have templates for pretty much everything. And we want to make sure that you are feeling confident with your responses and making sure that you are, making the right points and asking the right questions. So the answer is absolutely yes.
And can I just say something too? If you get the coaching level, people message us and be like, okay, do you think this sounds okay? I want to send this to the recruiter. Does that sound right? I want to follow up with it. What do you think? Like, they message us what they want to say and we look at it and go, yep, no, change this. Yep, go there, do that. This is what we mean. You should not be doing this alone. So if you go with one of the upgraded packages, that's the kind of access that you have.
Absolutely. And this is actually a big piece of the negotiation process as well. So we help you craft your responses there, because that is a tricky thing to, navigate, and you want to make sure that you're saying the right thing. So yes, we will definitely help you with that. All right. So JT, any advice for those age 50 plus employees, especially if you're long-term at your previous company?
Yeah. So when you've been at a company for a long time and you're over 50, yes, there's age discrimination, but what really is happening is something called experience discrimination. So there is an assumption that you should really know your craft and you should know what you are specifically good at. So the most common thing I see people over 50 do is they go out there and they start to try to explain that they are a Jack or Jill of all trades. So they want to say, I can do everything because I've been in work so long, I can do it all. That's not what employers are looking for. And candidly, when you send that message, you come across high maintenance and a know-it-all. And you don't mean to. It's just that when you started out in your career and you had no experience and how hard it was to get a job, at this point, you're like, look at me, I provide so much value. It's not what they asked for. What they asked for is for you to do a very specific job. And their fear is that you are going to be so over the top that it's not going to be worth it to bring you in. So we have in the interview prep class, you should watch the over 40 job interview, because I talk very specifically about this concept and how you have to change your approach in these interviews. What you have to do is understand that all of these people have a job at a company you would like to work at. And you have to have the intellectual humility and the emotional intelligence to connect with them. And especially since a lot of them are going to be half your age. So I've had people in their 50s say, oh, they just were intimidated by me because I knew so much and they were worried I'd take their job. Not at all. That's actually could not be further from the truth. They have the job. What they're afraid of is that you're going to act like their parent and that they don't want to be managing their parent. So knowing how to go into an interview and be more approachable, be more relatable is very, very important when you're 50 years old. Your tools have to be current, your approach has to be current, and your interviewing practice has to be current. So yeah, we deal with that every single day. And then as soon as people do this, it's amazing the results they get because they don't see your age. They see that you're a super cool person with a lot of knowledge who's humble and who clearly is interested in working for the company. Because that's the selling point. If they say to you, hey, you're overqualified, you have a lot of experience, you can say, I appreciate you saying that. It means a lot to me because I have been working for a long time. But you want to know what you have? You have a whole bunch of stuff that I want really badly. You have the environment. You have the technology. I love your customer base. This goes back to the incredible company connection. You need to say to them, you have all of these things. So in my mind, you're more attracted to me and I would be lucky to work for you. See, and once they hear that, they're like, oh, okay, so this person isn't going to come in and cop an attitude. You have to change the perception. And there's a lot more to it than that, but that's like the basics to understand.
Yes, great advice. All right. So question, a lot has been said today about LinkedIn. How do you use Glassdoor, How do you use Glassdoor as a resource in the job search process? So great question. So Glassdoor, Indeed just launched a new kind of company reputation piece to it so you can understand ratings and dress code and things like that. Comparably, those company reputation sites will help you uncover some of that culture. So you want to be using them because they're going to give you employee reviews that you can look into to understand what's happening and what kinds of questions you should be asking and what kinds of research you should be doing. They can give you insights on salaries. They can give you an idea of, the CEO rating and like the culture itself. So they're important to use during your research because they're going to help you understand, again, what you should be thinking about when you are crafting your strategy to target this company. So again, what kinds of questions should I be asking about an organization based on what I'm reading about the employees working there? So for example, we showcase a really cool company called Pluralsight in our first podcast episode. And you'll go through and look at the reviews, and we did, and there are some things about the reviews that were recent reviews that raised some questions. And so instead of calling out, I saw that, you had a pretty bad review, during an interview, because that's going to make things awkward. It's going to put them in defense mode. You're going to say, okay, so this is a concern that I have. So I want to ask a question to uncover what it's like now. So for example, how has your culture changed in the past year due to the pandemic? Or what are your plans to, change or develop your culture for the next year? So instead of calling them out for a specific thing like that, you can craft a strategy to get your answer without making it awkward. So that's why it's important to do that research, because it's going to give you those insights that you can use to figure out what questions to ask, what research to do. And obviously it can help inspire you more because you might latch onto a few more things that you can bring up in a cover letter, during an interview, things like that. So they're very important. Excellent. All right, JT, if I shouldn't use job boards, should I find the available jobs on my bucket list company website?
Yeah, so it's a great way to do it. A lot of companies will let you actually subscribe for alerts directly from them so that you can know about jobs when they're available. So you should go to the company career pages, most definitely. But to be perfectly honest, if you have a targeted list of 10 or 20 employers, it isn't hard for you to sit down with a cup of coffee or something else at the end of the day and just quickly go to all those career pages, like bookmark them all or keep them in a spreadsheet and see if anything new popped up. Because what you need to know is this: when a job is posted, if you can be one of the first people to apply within an hour to 24 hours max, that's the greatest chance that a human being will look at your application. Because what happens is when the ATS first kicks in, the recruiter's like, oh, I just posted. And they start getting dinged. Well, they always look at the first few. But then within 24 or 48 hours, 1,000 people apply. They stop looking. That's when they say, ATS, tell me who to pull through. So it is better to be on the company sites and try to get at it directly than to being late to the game on the other sites.
Absolutely. Love it. All right, question. How do you get your branding statement into 3 sentences? I'm more
Ah,
than 3 sentences.
I
Um,
work it daily. I'm
yeah.
sorry. We teach you how.
So I'm so glad that you're asking this. Your personal branding statement is essentially what you're going to be using in all areas of your job search to describe yourself, and what you are. How do you what service do you provide as an employee? So it's very important that you have a very clear idea of what this is, because if you're not articulating the right message to your network, to employers, to recruiters, then they're not going to understand how and where you add value. So this is very important. Now, when it comes down to distilling everything down to 2 to 3 sentences, it is hard. And it's going to take a few edits. It's going to take a few versions. And you're probably going to find yourself editing it down and then having it evolve, because you're going to, you're going to introduce yourself using the personal branding statement and say, oh, that sounded better than what I had written down earlier. I'm going to use that. But, the key things to remember here is, what do you do? How do you do it? And what do you want to do next? And so you should have a very concise answer for each of those questions. And that's why we distill it down to 2 to 3 sentences, because you want to keep it simple. When you're introducing yourself, you don't want to go on and on and on for 5 minutes, because the person you're talking to is going to start falling asleep and they're going to forget why they were in this conversation. So, I know it's hard, but it can be done. And it's just a matter of time, distilling it down.
It's all about framework and understanding how to distill that down. There was a whole team of marketing experts that came up with the words "just do it" for Nike. And yet we say just do it, and we all know what that means and the symbolism behind it and the plan. You are a brand. We cannot stress that enough. You are a brand. You need to manage your reputation. And the better that you get at distilling that down and working with somebody, working with us, or getting it to a good place, the more professional you sound. So it is definitely worth it to learn how to do that so that you don't sound all over the board.
Excellent. All right. So it is 12:30. And JT, what do you think? Should we show them the Incredible Companies page before we sign off?
Let's just pop that up so they can see it. So we mentioned this, folks. I know they've been putting the link in, but again, this is the super amazing launch today that only people on this thing have known about, which is this ability for you to look at companies by type, right? And so we have this technology on our site that's going to enable you to do that and very quickly press a button and start to look at the companies that fall into that category. And you can't do that on LinkedIn or Glassdoor or Indeed. So you see those little buttons, right? So let's say you wanted to look at financial companies. Can we hit on that one? You click on it and up will come our profiles of some of the companies that we featured. And then you can look at that. And then we put in all this super cool information so that you can go over, do your research that we're talking about all in one place, and then decide whether or not you like that company or not. So at the very least today, everybody, spend some time on this page and just start thinking about what we've been teaching you today. It's so easy. And then if you look down below, do you see that companies hiring now? That's a tab. You click on companies hiring now, and we're going to show you companies that are hiring. So this is where we're headed with this. And it's totally free. You don't need to sign up for the membership to do this. We wanted to make the searching part for your job search free. And we wanted to make it searchable based on what you care about, not what the employers care about, but what you care about in terms of how you're trying to distill down the kinds of companies. All right. And then of course we have a bunch of our free resources there too. So this page is just so worth bookmarking, because this is all the amazing free stuff that you get on Work It Daily. So make sure that you grab that, because again, we are about democratizing this process. We are about empowering you. We don't need 730 million plus people like LinkedIn to become part of Work It Daily. We just need a bunch of smart yous out there. I would be happy for 1 million. My mission is to bring 1 million people together inside Work It Daily. Think about that. If we had 1 million of us upping our game together, learning together, doing events together, networking together, game changer for 1 million people, and the trickle effect that we would have. That's what it takes. So just so you know, that's our mission. My mission, 1 million people inside this program helping each other. And I'm telling you, just check it out. I mean, grab a DIY membership. If you're worried about the price, you can cancel at any time and there's no setup costs. Just come in and understand what I mean by that. What I mean about being part of a community and having access. Folks, we spend an average of an hour a day liking, looking, and wasting time on social media. Could you imagine how different your life would be if today you signed up and you spent 10 minutes a day on Work It Daily? 10 minutes. That is where the game changing happens. And there's so much data to support that. There's so much neuroscience, everything about habits. I'm sure you've heard about it. We've just built a way for you to do that, and nobody else is doing it. And I'm so proud. And I just want to take a moment. I'm so proud of the team here at Work It Daily. I mean, they're doing the work of 100 people because they're so passionate about this mission of helping 1 million people. Everyone on our team cares about you. And, again, our goal was to make it affordable. Go out there and look. Nobody else wants to do that. Everybody wants to hold it hostage or buy my course for $2,000 or do this or that. It's all a bunch of scams out there. But we're here to support you, whether you use the free stuff or you join us with one of our low-cost options, something for everyone, because it's our mission is to bring you all together and effectively make change and take ownership and shop for jobs and work for incredible companies and be happier. It's something wrong when we live in a country where 70% of the workforce isn't happy in their jobs.
Seriously.
That's wrong. And no one's trying to fix it. The corporations aren't trying to fix it. We are. So with that being said, I'll push it back to Ariella, but I just want to say thank you. If you've stayed on here today to listen to this, thank you, because you're part of a movement. You're part of the change that's going to really shift how this whole thing works with employers. It starts with us getting smarter and building out ways for us to do what we want, shop for jobs, and build better relationships. So thank you for that, everyone. I really enjoyed this today. Ariella, I'm going to leave it to you to close it out.
Yes, I have to thank you so much as well. And thank you to all the amazing members who chimed in today. It's always so great to see you in here. Thank you so much for choosing to be a part of this session today. As I mentioned, we were so excited to launch this. This is very near and dear to our hearts. And we are on a mission, like JT said. And so thank you for being a part of it. And I hope this session was helpful. Please take advantage of all those resources that we mentioned. We made them for you because we want you to feel empowered and actually find jobs that are going to be the right fits for you, something that you're going to be happy about and feel successful in. So take advantage of that and make 2021 incredible. Okay, enough with the dark days of 2020. We are moving forward. We are stepping forward, and we're going to find better, brighter opportunities out there. So please take advantage of those resources. Excellent. All right. Well, thanks, everyone, and we will see you again soon. Bye.
Bye, team. Have a great day.